everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show where, while I'm renovating my room, I am apparently in some sort of a hostage situation cave room. That's where I'm filming at. As you can tell, if you're watching the video stream, I'm Ryan Knightsey.
That was really good. That was really natural. Good job.
You're welcome. I wasn't forcing it out. And with me, as always, is the man, the myth, legend, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing lovely, folks. I'm exhausted.
What else is new?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I was trying to watch all the wrestling for today, so you know, and then I always forget that we don't talk about Collision on the show. So like, I always force it in for some reason, and I realize at the end of it every single time, oh wait, I didn't need to watch all that right now. But I digress.
But if I'm not mistaken, I didn't watch Collision last night because I was also catching up on all the wrestling we had to watch. And I was building this blanket fort shelter that I'm in right now.
I love that.
If I'm not mistaken, Collision last night was great.
It was great. Collision's the A show. I feel like people should know that by now.
Ooh, the A show.
The A show that a lot less people watch.
That's accurate. That's accurate. Is the A show? Is it that? How was like 30% less people or something like that?
I'm not doing math today.
We don't get those. We don't get those.
No, if you want to listen how many less people they have, go listen to Dave Meltzer. He's good with the numbers. I'm just here to say things.
We don't get the rankings, right? Of every week, right? We don't get that anymore. Showbuzz Daily ended. Anyways, that's what people wanted when they first got in here, is Showbuzz Daily conversation and Collision.
This is the most packed episode of Ring Post Radio all year, and we're talking about Showbuzz Daily.
Yeah, we could be talking about something else for sure. Yeah, it's a packed show. We call this the Supersized Ring Post Radio Live because it is going to be supersized. We have so much to talk about. I have written down here 10 topics for us to talk about. Of various sizes, and like we said, if you heard us last week,
too small.
No topic too small. But of course, we're not going to be here next week. We're going to take the day off because of Christmas, of course. Plus, I won't even be anywhere close to my computer and recording equipment. I'll be in Maryland, so definitely can't do that. So, because we have no new show next week, we're going to be packing an extra hour into this week's episode of Ring Post Radio Live. That's right, folks. We're going to be here till the cows come home. We're going to be here, strap in, buckle up. Do we have what's a good music to really buckle up for? I don't want to play music on YouTube yet because we'll probably get copyright strike. Yeah. There we go. We'll take that. We'll be here for Supersized Ring Post Radio Live for as long as possible. So if you have any questions or comments, of course, leave them in the YouTube chat. If you
have concerns, don't.
If you have concerns, don't leave them anywhere. We'll get them out of here. But if you want to call in, of course, leave a voicemail. 2525 Ring PR is that phone number. We have, like I said, a lot to get to. 10 different topics, and yeah, we got 3 hours to get to it, Scotty. So I don't really I'm not stressed about trying to fit in all those 10. Like, there's a part of me that we usually always do 2 hours, but there's a part of me that's like in my mind of like, you got to fit in everything. We got to get to everything. But now I'm like, oh, we got an extra 60 minutes to scoot on in here. I'm trying to be relaxed over here. I'm trying to be relaxed Ryan, as it were.
This is going to be really long.
It's going to be very long. It's going to be a long show, folks, but I'm excited. I'm into it. I think it should be a very good show. Should we get into it? I mean, do we got any other stuff to talk about before we get into it, Scotty?
No, I'm ready to dive head first.
All right. Well, we'll dive head first, I think, with the more interesting topic that sort of came about this week. I think it was sort of an interesting topic that kind of similar, in my opinion, to the Kazuchika Okada to WWE conversation. The sort of rumors and going about all week long of, holy crap, WWE is meeting with WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery. That's right. There was a report earlier this week that WWE executives met with Warner Brothers Discovery to discuss the TV rights deals of WWE Raw. Of course, WWE Raw has been shopping around to NBCU, with USA, Disney with FX, Amazon Prime, and WBD, along with probably a bunch of other potential suitors. However, they now are talking to WBD. What has changed? Of course, a couple weeks ago, Dave Meltzer reported that they, were talking with WWE, WWE, and WBD were talking to each other.
Yeah, 10 times fast.
That's a
Doing
freaking
1 time
mouthful.
fast.
But they were talking to each other, and then the door closed, and then seemingly something changed in the past week or so, maybe 2 weeks or so, where all of a sudden they looked at the clock and they realized it was clobbering time. Where a door opened, of course, for WWE to re-talk with WBD. So yeah, that's kind of where it's left off. I think on the Ring of Honor press media scrum not last night, 2 nights ago, Tony Khan commented that both sides are just doing their due diligence. He thinks they're still have a very strong relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery. So I don't think Tony Khan's too worried. And of course, in my opinion, I think it's smart for WWE and Warner Brothers to discuss this idea. But Scotty, what do you think the likelihood is of WWE Raw to head to Warner Brothers Discovery, head to TNT or TBS?
I just want to know why they love CM Punk so much. Like, they didn't care that much about Raw, and then he showed up, and they're like, "Oh, baby, we need that back." I was like, it's just like, do they not know? Do they not know how this works? Do they not know how it worked last time? They gave a company.
Surely they found out. Surely they were told what happened with CM Punk last time.
Like, it's crazy to me. That's like, oh yeah, the talks are dead, and then CM Punk showed up, and it's like, really, one guy was like, "Oh, you know what? We want the 1 million, the 1.4 million people per week." Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely interesting. I don't think it's like the death of I don't think it's the death of AEW like a lot of people just, kind of want to assume. Now, here's the big thing. Tony Khan has to be talking to every other network in existence now after hearing this. That's my big thing. If he was being loyal to Warner Brothers Discovery, now he doesn't have to feel that way. Now he can go and talk with, the pretty much the networks that we've heard that WWE could be talking to, like an FX, for example, with Disney and they probably can't talk to USA because SmackDown's on there, but there's other networks to talk with. It's definitely interesting though that they've come back on these talks. I just think it's like wildly shocking, to be honest, like that we're here now, because it was like 3 weeks ago that it's like, oh yeah, Raw's close to getting finalized. And now it's like, oh, but Warner Brothers Discovery. At the end of the day, I don't think like WWE is just going to pick Warner Media to screw with AEW. They're just going to take the highest offer, and whoever has the highest offer, guess what? That's who they're taking, because if you're a business, that's what you do.
In a Vince McMahon era, 100% they would take Warner Brothers Discovery just to fuck with AEW. Yeah. In this new Triple H Nick Khan era, I don't know. I think you're right. I think it is just going to be the highest deal, whatever best deal offer is going to be. Obviously, they're looking. We saw what happened with SmackDown getting announced as part of their renewal. Nick Khan was out here talking about like, 2x, time deal or something, some insane number for their TV rights deals. And instead they only got like a 1.4x, which, still millions of dollars that I don't have. But a disappointment for the stock company, you saw that the TKO stock dropped because of it. So obviously they're looking for, at this point, and almost in some ways they need the best deal possible. What's interesting, obviously, is that for people like Warner Bros. Discovery, like probably Amazon, probably USA, all these other companies, the more interesting part of all this is the NBA TV deals are coming up as well in the new year. So
that's the first one to fall.
That's if you're looking at the dominoes of everything. It's once this NBA deal goes through, and then however much money it people get from it, the NBA I guess gets from it. It will determine what happens with Raw, what happens with AEW.
Yeah. Well, I can give you a spoiler alert of the year. The NBA is going to make a lot from whatever their TV deal ends up being. I know.
I can't believe it.
If Warner Media ends up going and keeping the NBA, then guess what? They're not buying WWE Monday Night Raw. I can tell you that right now, because that's a lot of money you're hauling out. And the facts are AEW's a lot cheaper than the flagship show of the biggest pro wrestling company in the world. It's just true. But again, with AEW, you should just be marketing every little thing you have right now. I know, like, there is this feeling of wanting to sell it all as a package deal, but why? Why do that? Like, you have a library, you have 3 shows plus Ring of Honor. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going out of my way to try to sell Ring of Honor first. You make sure AEW gets on TV, but it's a nice little package to add on if people are looking for time. Because here's the thing, a lot of these networks that we talk about, I feel like this is kind of forgotten. Like FX, TNT, TBS, what do they show most of the time? Reruns, Big Bang Theory, and movies. That's what they show. Like, this is live week to week content that makes every bit of pro wrestling, or at least AEW and WWE pro wrestling, worth going out of your way to buy. That's why I'm like not all that worried about AEW. They just need to start working now, like that's the most important thing. And I think they are. Because, this is a business and Tony Khan's a businessman. He would be silly not to be doing all that. I think at the end of the day, Warner Media ends up just taking back AEW and Raw goes to like FX or Amazon Prime or something. But I just wanted to bring up that possibility because you know what they say in the world of pro wrestling, never say never.
Yeah, exactly. The real possibility there is like if WBD for whatever reason loses the NBA, then yeah, there's a stronger likelihood that Raw heads to Warner Brothers, right?
I'd be a little surprised if they gave up on the NBA.
I don't think they're trying to give up on the NBA. I remember I want to say Dave Meltzer talked about the idea of like they are more willing to at least take some of the NBA if they're unable to get all of the NBA.
That's how it was this past time. They have some of it.
I guess some of it would be even less than what they currently have, but they'll still take something. They want to get some piece of that pie, right? And yeah, if Warner Brothers is unable to get any part of the NBA, then yeah, it's going to open up the wallets extremely well. At the same
how much
time,
money
go ahead.
NBA got for this deal?
For the last deal?
So splitting it between Disney and Warner Media, $24 billion over 9 years. So yeah, if Warner Media gets any of the NBA, they ain't buying Raw.
No, that's like what? They're
paying $12 billion for
2.7 bill a year.
Overall,
yeah.
But I mean, they don't have to pay that whole thing, but they have to pay a lot of it.
Sure. Damn.
Yikes.
Jesus. Yeah. That's the good thing is that AEW and WWE are not going to be that pricey, but WWE certainly would love to be in that range.
WWE wants to get to $400 million per year. They aren't going to probably get to that, but they're going to probably be 350 or so.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Let me look.
That's a lot of money to give anyone for a year, let alone 5 years.
What do you think? Let's say WBD lose the NBA, right? We all, especially me, but we all know the understanding of Warner Brothers Discovery's financial issues. Would it then still make sense for them to go for the higher priced, but in theory, more fans of WWE and hopefully bring them in? Or would it just make sense to go with the cheaper price of AEW and still get a very good sizable fan base?
I guess it breaks down to like the ads and stuff and all the information that I don't have and never will have to give you. But in the non technical terms, I would just go with AEW with how Warner Media is. Like, it's cheaper. It's the number one show on every Wednesday. Like, if it's not the number one show, it's top 5. It's to me, it's worth it. Like, I think this deal between the two sides, whatever it may be, like, you're gonna get a lot of content from it, whether it be Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, whether it be, whether they cancel one of the other two, we'll wait and see. My preference is that they would, like, if Warner Media were to get AEW back, is to move Collision, but that's a conversation for another day. Because I just think, like, they're giving up views by putting it on Saturday. But I know, like, they're trying to avoid football, and but, like, listen, football happens on Saturdays in the fall. It's college football, but it's football nonetheless, and that that obviously rocks these shows. So I think that's, like, something to consider if they kind of want to get the more bang for their buck, perhaps.
Yeah.
Is not limiting one of the shows that they have. But we'll wait and see, I guess. I think in the end, though, like I said, I think Warner Media still ends up with AEW. I just think, like, this is more talk than anything else. You need someone in the room at Warner Media to be like, listen, we can't put all our money on CM Punk. You can't. Like, don't get me wrong, Raw's going to do good either way. Like, they don't need. Here's the thing with WWE, they don't need CM Punk, but the fact that these talks happened again because CM Punk happened to join this company is just very funny. And I think, like, what does he really change things that dramatically for you as a TV network? No.
Well, I mean, WWE is certainly trying. Obviously, they're putting him on the LA house show loop to try to attract more of their TV executives to showcase
one show.
I think it's actually 2 shows.
He's on MSG.
Okay, that's what it is. It's
which I don't know if you
LA
know this,
show and then
is
MSG.
not in LA.
What? Since when?
I know.
Since forever?
I know. Shout out Dirty Dom, baby.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, the NBA is obviously going to be the telling point here. Raw, we'll see what happens to it. If WBD lose the NBA, then I guess we'll have a better conversation. But for right now, I don't think it's going to be happening. I think if anything, more likely, I think Disney or some sort of streamer to be more interesting. I think it would be interesting.
Raw and FX is my preference.
Yeah, I think it'll be more interesting to see that take place. I mean, I would love for, like, AEW to diversify its portfolio a little bit, if you want to use that phrase, of just, like, shopping around different networks and whatnot. But I get trying to keep it all in the same family. I don't think.
Yeah, but hear me out. Hear me out. Have you considered that WWE going with FX is our first step towards getting Tom Sawyer Island in Disney World replaced by the Island of Relevancy of Roman Reigns?
We've discussed this before,
and I just want to bring it up again. I feel like we're forgetting about that. We're forgetting the importance of the Island of Relevancy ride.
We got Dirty Dom's playpen.
All right, move on. No,
hold on. Enough. We got to come up with more Disney.
No, that's it.
Attractions.
No, you just said Dirty Dom's playpen.
I mean, I guess I don't want to say Mommy's playpen. I think that will. I don't think that will attract the Disney's audience.
Yeah, you're no. No.
Scotty's tugging at the collar already. Let's move on, I guess, then to the next small little topic here. And that's a topic that came up right after last week's episode, which, of course, I've been tracking it. We've been tracking it this entire time. It's the WWE and MLW lawsuit that was taking place between these two companies. It reached a settlement, of course, in their antitrust lawsuit this past week. I believe it was on Monday.
Special.
This was very interesting because obviously MLW was suing WWE for antitrust. It was going all the way back to this idea of, hey, we tried to get on this network. As soon as you joined it, we got kicked off. What the heck? They're monopolizing the business, yada, yada, yada. And WWE kept trying to dismiss this or get rid of this. And the judge always was interested in the case. The judge seemingly was interested in the case. It felt like it was getting maybe close to a discovery phase. I don't exactly know the date of that off the top of the dome, but it doesn't ultimately matter because the two reach a settlement. The case is over. It's undisclosed amount of money right now or what was involved in the settlement, but as of right now, the case is over. So Scotty, do you have any thoughts? Are you
see my surprised face?
Mm-hmm.
That's because this was always the result. It was just, how much time do we have to take? How many times do we have to go in the news so that MLW is still not like grabbing new fans, unfortunately for them? How many I think the win of this, if there's a win, right, is that MLW wrestlers may get paid. Maybe a little bit more, perhaps, depending on what WWE gave them. But in all seriousness, this kind of felt like the result. It was just how long were they going to be willing to go before WWE just paid up and we moved along? That's how most WWE cases go at this stage. So it's like, is there going to be backlash usually for them? Sadly, no, despite them being the bad guys most of the time. But yeah, this hit expectations. This was a 2.5 star battle.
An MLW special, if you will.
Man, that's man, that could have been the meanest thing you said about them of this entire show. Oh boy, I mean you're not wrong, but
it's disappointing at the very least to not go to Discovery on any of these things because you want WWE to get some sort of comeuppance with all the things that they do. But it's WWE. When you got millions of dollars and you're MLW, you're like, well, I'll take the millions of dollars.
You want them to come up? Vince McMahon literally had to retire and then was back within a year.
They don't get any
comeuppance. And then he sold like part of his company or whatever. They did a partnership, but to make more money. They don't lose.
They don't lose, especially not Vince McMahon.
Even when they're in the wrong, they don't lose.
Yeah. They're
usually in the wrong, man.
Yeah. It's very upsetting. I think
anyone chants ML Dub?
MLW faithful do.
No,
for sure.
You're not. You're definitely. I'm asking you as someone that watches the shows. Have they ever chanted that?
Yeah, of course.
Really? Or they chant Major League. I
believe now they're chanting WTF, which is the sort of NWO faction in the MLW universe.
What?
That's not a joke. Tom Lawler's in it. Alex Hammerstone's in it. Richard Holiday just joined
Tom
it.
Lawler's in it. I messaged you yesterday about something completely different that Tom Lawler deserves better. I'm going to message you again that Tom Lawler deserves better. Yikes.
Wow. Yikes spikes right there. This is a side tangent, but have you seen this comments in the StreamYard? Number one, shout out to Gwen Evans for joining us. What does Relax Ryan do in the Impact Zone? That popped me.
I
really
don't know
hard.
what the X means.
No, the X means that's Twitter. That's before we weren't able to get like X Twitter comments, but I guess maybe now we can. That's interesting.
It's wild.
I didn't know that at all. Anyways, MLW, WB, MLW is making bank, supposedly. Right. So good for them. good for them, I guess. We'll get a super show from MLW or something. We'll pay for another Satoshi Kojima match. Anyways, speaking about Japan, speaking about Japan, in Japan, New Japan joins, not really joins, sort of creates this United Japan Pro Wrestling.
To say leads.
Yeah, leads is probably a better word. A new industry group representing pro wrestling in Japan has been officially formed. It is, of course, called the United Japan Pro Wrestling Group, according to the press release that was sent out by at least New Japan. I assume everybody sent it out. But basically, the idea of their mission statement is to further the presence of pro wrestling and its cultural merit in Japanese society at large, allow professional wrestling to contribute further to cultural and sporting sectors, and work towards continued health and prosperity of the industry. Basically, the whole idea is that coming out of the pandemic, the industry has taken a lot of hits so that they want to kind of all. This is more of a more formal governing body over the Japanese wrestling world. Not like the NWA
like,
governing body, but more of like
Kenta Kobashi had a lot of involvement.
It's more. This is more of like a governmenting lobby group to try to have pro wrestling be more of a, I guess, thing in Japan. The group members, of course, they're being led by New Japan, with the executive office being New Japan, executive chief being the chairman of New Japan, Sukubayashi, founding chair Seiji Sakaguchi. The group members are New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Japan, Noah, DDT, Gambari Pro, Big Japan, Dragon Gate, Stardom, Tokyo Joshi Pro, and then maybe further group members to be considered.
Big Japan get in there.
Big Japan sneaking in.
Like, I know how Gambari got there because they're, there was Cyber Fight, but I have no idea how
Big Japan snuck in there at the last second. Good for them. But yeah, what do you think about this new United Japan Pro Wrestling industry, and what kind of waves do you think they'll be able to make?
I think it has
Japan
all the potential to be a big deal, if that makes sense. Like, we have to wait and see, because we're not going to see like mix between all these promotions every single month or anything, but it's the idea that these companies know to come together for the better of pro wrestling in Japan. And I think there's a lot of different ways to look at that. One being the obvious of, an outside invading force potentially, kind of being nixed, which is, of course, the idea of the global localization of WWE, which I think some people remain fearful of, whichever or however they imagined doing so. I think that's one step. I think the other step is we're still trying to, right, like you said, we're still trying to get back to where we were pre-COVID in Japan. New Japan's numbers very much show that more than any numbers, because they're the biggest company. New Japan still does well for itself, but not to the point that they were. And a lot of these companies can say the same thing.
If I recall from their latest financial briefings, New Japan is basically almost roughly exactly where they were financially speaking in 2019,
right? Which is I'll say this, it's not good.
Yeah, just got there, and they lost however much millions of dollars or whatever in the past couple of years,
And as someone that watches all of these promotions in one way or the other, or somehow, some way, there is pretty much all of them are down except for All Japan and Stardom. I think even Dragon Gate's down. Dragon Gate does well for themselves, but like they also run a million events, so I'm sure that probably helps. But I think they're even down. Like, everyone's down except for those two promotions, and even so, like, I think everyone's aware that some things can't stick and they need to keep pushing, and they're gonna have this big show all together. It's not called All Together again, but it is going to be a big show in the Nippon Budokan
May
next
6th,
year, which is a huge deal that all these companies are gonna have one show together. I can't stress enough for the Joshi world that Stardom and TJPW working together is bonkers. But here's the thing. Here's the difference, right? So like during COVID, Joshi had like this idea. It was called the Assemble, which was to bring all the Joshi promotions together.
Yeah.
And getting TJPW and Stardom to work together, and that did not go well. When you have New Japan and Kenta Kobashi and all the others saying, yeah, you kind of have to, well, you have to. I think overall this has the potential to be huge, but it's also wait and see. We'll see how much this partnership actually works with one another. I would love if this meant like kind of wrestler sharing from time to time for a lot of these promotions, because as we've seen, even All Japan just using in Yuji Nagata or Satoshi Kojima has done them well. No, same thing with Noah. New Japan doesn't need to share anyone, but my God, does New Japan get a lot more interesting when the likes of Kaito Kiyomiya are involved, and so on and so forth. So I'm hopeful for this to be huge. I'm hopeful that this kind of helps bring back people, whether it's slowly, and besides the COVID part of trying to get back, they also have to deal with the post Keiji Muto wrestling world, which that mostly has affected Noah, but his involvement benefited a lot of people in pro wrestling or a lot of companies. And I just think like that's also part of this. There's a lot of work to be done to help these companies get better. And I hope that this can also kind of maybe lead to free agents, upcoming free agents for these companies being more willing to kind of stay in Japan because there's now flexibility to do something different.
Yeah.
Even if you resign, like you're not going to get stagnant. Like say if I don't know, Kento Miyahara in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, he's done everything and he wants to change it up, but he doesn't want to leave All Japan necessarily. Okay, well then he can, head to Noah for a run or something like that. I think that's something that Japan needs more of now, especially with how hot those few moments were this year. And I think I hope that's what this is. I saw a lot of people calling it the UJPW. I was like, man, you people are quick on those things. Like I was like, I have no idea what I'm reading here. And you guys are like, all right, we've already got the acronym or whatever. So
yeah, it's interesting. There is a specific point in the activities beyond governmental communication requests, strengthening connections to other industries and sectors, but specifically sharing resources and practices. Whether or not we're using wrestlers in terms of resources and practices, who knows? But in theory, that could potentially mean that we're sharing resources. Sending Kaito Kimi into New Japan, sending him to Dragon Gate, sending Kojima and all these other older New Japan guys all over the place to all these other Puro
Ishii to Noah for their big
Ishii
show.
to Noah, Tanahashi and Zack Sabre Jr. to Noah. This
Road
idea
to
of
Tokyo Dome, baby.
this idea of sending resources and trying to build up all of the other aspects of everything.
Yeah.
And
It's always
trying to
telling also who's not involved.
I was about to say there's some interesting parts of who's not involved. Obviously, a lot of the major Puro companies are involved. But for me, the one thing I noticed really well was that it's just Stardom and Tokyo Joshi Pro. No really other Joshi companies in here at all. I guess maybe we'll count the Pro Wrestling Noah women's division, but I don't know if I count that.
I
But
think these
still.
are the top 9 probably in attendance.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
That would probably help. See, the one that I noticed, because like the Joshi thing didn't shock me. You're again the 2 major ones, because all the other Joshi promotions are run by like 6 people.
Yeah.
Like in all actuality, there's like 6 people per promotion. The one that jumped out to me, which wasn't a shock, was of course GLEAT.
Yeah.
They were not invited.
Yeah.
It seems.
Maybe eventually.
I'm not shocked that Dragon Gate isn't working with them after they kind of they've taken a few talent from them, and then we'll see. There's still time, and hopefully this works though at the end of the day for Japan, because I think we all saw kind of at the beginning of this year of 2023 that there's still a lot of interest, but there could be so much more.
Yeah. And I think more importantly, this is sort of just a more formalized version of what the companies have been doing all year of working together. This is just a more formalized version, and that has more of that lobbying aspect that we talk about, working more of trying to get the government to help them out, or bolster wrestling in Japan. And I do like the idea of it using as a defense mechanism potentially against NXT Japan or something like that.
I think the exciting thing is to see what that show ends up being. Will it just be like a showcase match for each company, or will it be more of intertwined? Because I think that's what will get people in the building. It's not going to be, oh, you can see Okada and Tanahashi face Ishii, and it's like you don't want to see. I can go to a New Japan show for that. You want to see these companies mix. That's what All Together Again did. Yeah, All Together Again wasn't like this all-timer show or anything, but it brought Kento Miyahara and Okada in the same ring and all these big things. So I hope that's what they do ultimately between all these promotions when that show comes around. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah, that show is not happening till May, what did I say, 6? So we have plenty of time to see what happens there.
It all is controlled by New Japan. I'll say this. This is the last thing I'll say.
Sure.
This relationship works as much as New Japan wants it to work. There has to be a willingness to, if you're, involving other promotions and their wrestlers, there needs to be a willingness for your guys to lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very big thing, I think, to make this all work. Because if I'm going to see Kaito Kiyomiya wrestle someone in New Japan, I need to think he actually has a chance rather than, oh, New Japan guy wins, LOL. Like that.
Yeah.
That is an important part of making a lot of this work.
Yeah, the booking of the sharing of resources, if you will, is going to be a very interesting dilemma. Because like Kaito's a great
this year.
Kaito is a fantastic example, and at the very least, we've seen that, especially like in New Japan, other companies are willing to like sort of maybe not willing to put over,
yeah,
maybe they're being told to put over the New Japan stars.
All Japan made Yuji Nagata their champion this year. So.
I mean, and that certainly worked. That certainly helped, continue the growth of All Japan this year. So it's not like it was
a surge to get the belt onto Yuma, who then, of course, lost Nakajima and so on and so forth. It'll be interesting to see what these year-end, New Year numbers do, attendance-wise, for sure.
Totally agree. Last bit of news that I really want to get to before we get into the reviews and previews is earlier this week, it was reported that Seth Rollins' WB contract is set to expire next year in June of 2024. This was reported by Fightful on Monday. He says that the two sides have not spoken about a possible extension, but WWE is expected to make re-signing a top priority. It also noted that Becky Lynch's contract is also believed to expire around June 2024. So, I guess they're unsure. Oh, yeah. The time on maternity leave is not expected to be tacked on to the length of her contract. So there's this idea that Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, both of their contracts come up in the new year in June 2024. Obviously, this kind of ties back into the TV rights deals of Raw and SmackDown of, hey, how much more money are we going to be able to get to shuffle off to these people? But what do you think? Do you think there is any chance? What is the % chance you think that Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch or both potentially leave WWE? Or do you think it's more likely that they'll stay and resign?
10%. I don't see it. These two have been staples of WWE in their main event scene for 5+ years. Seth is like a WWE guy through and through. Becky's been one of the main stars for as long as I can remember, and not only one of the main stars, but one of the most successful main stars. She is a draw in every which way. I don't see her leaving. She's a mom. She doesn't need to I don't think she has the need or necessity to try something new at this stage. Like, she's probably going to go to WrestleMania and face Rhea Ripley, and it's going to be a big match, and Seth is going to main event, night one against CM Punk. Like, I don't see a world where these two leave. Now, if CM Punk beats Seth Rollins and that pisses him off, who knows? But I don't see it being that big of a deal. Now, let me say this though: if they were to test the waters, and I know how people feel about Seth Rollins, especially, but you'd be crazy if you were AEW not to try.
100%. You got to do your due diligence. Going back to that phrase, you got to do your due diligence if you're any of these companies. It's the same thing if Will Ospreay. I'm going to take the call from TNA. I'm probably not going to TNA, but I'm going to take that phone call.
You watched WWE take Cody Rhodes from you.
And not only take Cody Rhodes, but how much of a business mover that was, and how much all of us were like, man, Cody Rhodes is a massive star, right?
Yeah, like, you gotta at least consider it. I know some people, especially this week on on the socials was like, "What does Seth Rollins bring to you?" Like, that's not the thing. It hurts your competition more than anything else. I think that's what people need to consider. Yeah, by the time he's a free agent, he's gonna be what, 38, going 39 or whatever.
Yeah.
He's still got a couple good years left.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't care how you feel about him. I don't think his year's been like anything spectacular or whatever. But he's still a guy that, one, was part of one of the most successful factions, and two, has a lot of history with a lot of guys in your company that you could tell stories with, and three, it would hurt WWE. Not as big as Cody hurt AEW, but it would still hurt WWE.
I
And
think there's
Becky goes
also
without saying. You don't try to sign Becky, you're just an idiot.
exactly. I think it also goes. There's something to say as well as like if you gain a Seth Rollins, a Tyler Black, if you will, in any company, not just AEW. If TNA was literally, you know, they said they had money to shuffle around with Will Ospreay, so seemingly they're going to try to be in the conversation. You know, if you are any of these other companies, right, you are going to work hard to get him because Seth Rollins is not just a really good wrestler. Despite maybe not being fully interested in some of his matches this year. But, you know, that's more of his dance partners, sure.
Not his fault.
But he is also a really good company man.
He is.
And one thing that
you'd want that on your side.
Yes, you want a company man. You want a guy that is willing to go out there and be like, oh, this company is great. This is the best company. Cody Rhodes is a fantastic company man.
Oh,
he will go to any of these companies.
I know you the best company, man.
Yeah, will go to any of these companies and be like, this is the company to be. Everyone wants to be here. Like, he gets a kind of question about MJF, and he's like, oh, yeah, MJF, you know, put it on size because he wants to eventually go to WWE. That's where the big boys are, right? You know, he needs to put on size to wrestle all these guys.
If
you know,
he went back to AEW, he'd be able to switch that very easily.
Very easily. And you know he's going to do that as soon as he walks back into those doors. But if you kick up like a Seth Rollins, he's a very strong company man as well. So he will put over your product just as much. I want to shout out Diedrich Hendricks in the chat saying, yo, fellas. Hey, how's it going, Diedrich? That's what the whitest response I ever had. Yo, fellas. My response is, hey, how's it going? Anyways, Seth Rollins 100% is a move that you have to try to at least go for. I think it would be a very interesting move. I think it could be a very interesting move to have taken one of WWE's top guys. They don't really, I mean, there's also the argument of like, do they really need Seth Rollins anymore at this point? You know, they could easily shed him. They could easily save a bunch of money and put towards stealing more, you know, AEW people or giving people more money.
Here's something we have to remember though.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins is a Triple H guy.
That's also very true. That's also very
arguably true. Triple H's first guy. In all actuality. So like this is all just talk. I don't see him leaving. But you never know. CM Punk's around. You can piss someone off.
That's fair. We'll see. Well, we talked about it. CM Punk, we gave him the timeline of April, right? Of WrestleMania.
I said he makes it to Mania, and after that, all bets are off.
June is only a couple months after that.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll see what happens. And of course, Becky Lynch. You got to make a play. Becky Lynch is a fantastic female wrestler. You got to make a play for her. If she's available.
Becky Lynch is probably the second biggest draw women's wrestling has right now. I think the biggest has just sat around for a year out there that someone could have taken and they have not paid up. And that's why her price is as high as it is. And I think eventually that's going to be signed, and I think someone's going to get it. And I don't think it's going to be AEW, which again will make them look like idiots for not paying up. But I digress. Becky Lynch is a must.
What's interesting about Becky Lynch, though, is that I also think that whereas Mercedes is probably like the most expensive, and probably, you know, we'll see how it is after being away from WWE if she goes back and see how her ratings hold up. I assume they'll hold up. But Becky Lynch is also arguably like the most important women's wrestling figure of the past.
Yeah.
I don't know, decade, 2 decades.
Just say yes. You're correct.
Yeah,
decade. Well, the decade before that, they weren't doing much. So
I know that's why I was like 2 decades. I don't know, 3. How far do you want to go back?
She is I think the best thing you can give Becky Lynch is she's the first woman that WWE ever got behind as the face of their company.
For like a full year, maybe year and a half.
She was the face of their company until she left when she was pregnant.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about a year, right?
It was
2019-ish?
no, it's 2.
2018, 2019. Yeah,
Because
that makes
she
sense.
turned on Charlotte SummerSlam,
Mm-hmm.
2018, won
In
the title
August.
in 2019, left after WrestleMania in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So about 2 years, which is again huge.
Well,
Um,
well, hold on. When did she? She turned on Charlotte in August of 2018? But when would you consider her becoming the face of the brand?
when
Because
she got
that
punched in
first
the
couple
face
months,
by Nia,
yeah. And what?
which
So
was
then, what was that? That
which
was
was November of that year. So yeah,
there
2
we
years.
go. Okay, yeah. But
I
2 years, a year and a half.
the Becky Lynch. Okay, how do you get 2 years? A year and a half?
Well, you're talking November
I
to
round up.
fine.
I round up. Even if I'm wrong, I round up.
Fair enough. She's arguably one of the most important women's wrestling figures in years. You got to get her. You got to make the play. I mean, if you're WWE, you
I
also
don't
got to
think
make
she
the play to
even
keep her.
gets to. Well, here's the thing. I don't think Becky even gets to the field to make a play. I think she's lost.
If you're any wrestler right now in 2023, at this point, 2024,
But my point is,
gotta
WWE's
make
just
the
gonna
play.
pay her a ton of money to stay.
Yeah,
The
but
book's coming out, like.
But if you go to AEW and say, "Oh, they'll give me this much," and then you go back to WWE and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you this much," now you just upped your price. You gotta make those plays.
I agree, but like I just think they're gonna not even have to up their price. They're gonna offer so much.
Yeah, that might be true. Is there any possibility that WWE does the sort of UFC thing of, hey, we need to cut costs. We'll just cut 2 of our top people. Who cares?
No, no,
Immediate.
no, not with them. It
Yeah,
was someone else, but not with them.
that might be true. That's probably true. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think it's an interesting
Especially now
conversation.
Charlotte's out for a year essentially.
Yeah, what did they say? Like 9 months or something at least, but they said it was like worse than an ACL somehow.
Yeah, her knee exploded.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I do not know how long Charlotte's career is going to continue.
Yeah, I don't like to be that.
I don't like to be that guy either, but like she just came back from an injury.
Yeah, she gets banged up a lot now, and this one's probably the worst she's had, if I had to guess.
She's gonna have to relearn how to walk. It sounds
She's
like
not going to be able to
exploded.
do a lot of the like offense that she does. Like she's not going to
Mhm.
be able to do the moonsaults and stuff like that, or she shouldn't.
Yeah,
She obviously can, but yeah, I think there's a serious conversation. I mean, hopefully she can come back, but because I never want anyone to have to retire, especially with an injury, because that sucks.
yeah.
But there is definitely a conversation because she's missed a lot of time over the past couple of years.
Yeah, she's been injured a lot in the past couple of years, and she's gonna be injured for the next year or so. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm sort of nervous about her and her career because it is very much. I don't know how. I don't. The clock was ticking. We talked about it when we talked about like Tiffany Stratton versus Becky Lynch, where it was like I don't know how far Charlotte's gonna go along because Tiffany's right there and she's gonna be the next big thing for this company. And now Charlotte's injured for the next year or so. It's like I don't know. I don't know how long is going to be
I
going on
can't
for
see them waiting that much longer with them. By the way, with
yeah.
her, I mean,
With Tiffany.
yeah, I don't. This is just an off-topic thing, but like, she's next. Like she's next. She is this big star in the making. I don't know. I saw her do a cartwheel into like a Alabama Slam or something on NXT, and I was like, that was sick.
Yeah.
I was like, did she rehearse it? Probably. Do I care? Not a chance.
Did it look great? Of course.
Yeah. She's awesome. So they have that's the thing with WWE. I think that we do have to consider when it comes to all these new all these expiring wrestlers, whether it be Drew McIntyre, of course, or Seth Rollins, Becky. they got a lot of good young talent. Like they have a lot.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that they have that no other company in America has, is that they just have this slew of like potential main event caliber talent just waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Which is a great thing to have, obviously.
I fully agree. Ring of Honor. Let's talk about Ring of Honor Final Battle.
You know what Ring of Honor reminded me?
What's that?
That AEW also has some good young talent.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
And they should probably make Ring of Honor focused around these young talents more, because my God, some of them showed out on this show.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a pretty good, really good, great show. Whatever you want to describe it.
I had a really good time with this show.
That first, I'll say hour, maybe hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll round up 2 hours of the
Really
show
good.
was great. Other than a Nyla Rose squash match, which I do not care about, but
I didn't even know that happened.
So, other than that, I had so much fun in this first 2 hours.
Fun fact for you, Ryan. I had no idea the Eddie match happened, and I had no idea the Nyla match happened. I looked at Cage match after I watched it, and I was like, what? I guess I perfectly skipped both of them. I was like, oh, all right.
That's fine. As someone watching it live, yeah, perfectly skippable is what I would describe those matches. I mean, the Anthony Henry and the Kingston one was really good for what it was. But but it is.
I didn't feel the need to go back and watch it after I missed it.
Great show. Ring of Honor Final Battle. I thought it was a great show. Of course,
help for Ring of Honor again. Silly goose.
Out of Garland, Texas. The attendance here was 1,964. So I think he said it was one of the better attendances for Ring of Honor. I believe
that's great. All right, let me have a conversation.
Sure,
please. I saw Claudio even said this, or I was told that Claudio said this. Running smaller buildings is not a bad thing for Ring of Honor.
No.
And they need to get a little bit smaller with these buildings, because one, it's going to sound louder, because this crowd was hot.
Yeah.
This crowd was hot.
This crowd was insane.
For a bigger building that probably fits 5,000 and it only did 19. It was loud. And I was just thinking, what if this building was a smaller, just a bit smaller arena? Man, it would have been great. It would have been great. I think they should not be afraid to run the 1,000 people venues. I know, oh, you missed out on 900 tickets or whatever. But to me, it's about the atmosphere. It's about the feeling. It's that's what Ring of Honor should be running.
Yeah,
I think. And I think a lot of the wrestlers in this company agree. I think when I heard Claudio kind of brought up the idea, I was like, all right, so it's not a crazy thing that a lot of people see this as a possibility. The crowd kept this show hot all night, and I think this is you take out the squash matches, maybe one or two other matches. This is a top to bottom can't miss show.
Yeah, fully agree. This show was insane. This show was great. It had a lot of fun stuff throughout this entire card. I'm looking at the attendance from the past couple years or so. Lone Star Strong, New Japan Strong, and Lone Star Shootout ran a show here in the exact same building, and they got attendance of 1,027. So Ring of Honor was able to draw about 900 more people.
Do you want me to say it?
Go ahead.
Which show had Bryan Danielson on it?
I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. Let's look at the main event of New Japan Strong Lone Star Shootout. Shingo Takagi versus Trent Beretta. Mayu Iwatani, Stephanie Vaquer, Zack Sabre Jr., Mike Bailey. What was the big drawing one there? I don't know, Mayu maybe, Shingo.
It was just a lot of New Japan wrestlers on the card. That's what was drawing for them.
Yeah. Not a insanely great drawing factor there. I'm trying to look.
I had a good time watching that show.
The Lone Star Shootout.
Yeah,
it was good. I had a good time too.
I had a good time watching this show.
I'm trying to see. There it is. I'm trying to find the attendance for Supercard of Honor 2022. That's what I was looking for. Supercard of Honor 2022 attendance.
Here.
According to the Wrestling Observer, they said 4,500 fans is what they drew the same building the year prior, which is not a surprise because the year prior that was the first show back.
And it was WrestleMania weekend.
And it was WrestleMania weekend. So I'll basically take 2,000 fans. That's fine.
Yeah, I still think
could they go to smaller buildings? Sure. But 2,000 fans is nothing terrible, I guess, for the level of Ring of Honor.
No, and I think it's the quicker we when I say we, I mean wrestling fans, accept that what Ring of Honor is, the better you'll enjoy the product.
Yeah, there was that quote from famous grifter Eric Bischoff, where he made some sort of point about Tony Khan should just cut Ring of Honor dry. He should just cut it from his product line and just be like, it's gonna be nothing. It's never been anything. You should just cut it. These attendance numbers are bad, and yada yada yada. And I'm over here sitting like, it's Ring of Honor. It's not supposed to be the next AEW. It's supposed to be a smaller version, and they're getting $2,000 in a building. I'll take that. That's fine.
It's just extra revenue the way they run it. Like they don't run it like if they're running separate events.
Yeah.
All the time, and they were losing money, but they're not. They're just taping at the shows that they're already selling tickets for.
Exactly.
And then like these one-off pay-per-views a quarter, that's not going to hurt you.
That being said, this wasn't necessarily a pay-per-view. They obviously
it became the steal of the year.
Yeah, the past 5 Ring of Honor and the Tony Khan regime have all been pay-per-views. This one, not a pay-per-view. It was only an Honor Club, which almost, as we were saying, as everyone's saying online that we're watching it live, a steal of a year. $10 for this show is insane.
My only complaint was it wasn't up immediately after, but
that's fair. I get it.
It was up the next day. That's all. It was good enough for me. As long as it was up, like I didn't have to wait for it. Like, now you have to wait 30 days for it, because that's what Honor Club originally was with the pay-per-views.
Now, Tony Khan or no one ever announced what this sort of did, how many additional subscribers this gained for Ring of Honor's Honor Club service. So that is unknown. But Tony Khan did mention that it definitely brought in people. So I guess
I hope everyone subscribe. This is your best chance of getting AEW pay-per-views on some sort of platform someday. If I was actually see big numbers, he's gonna be like, I go to like Max.
I'm glad you brought about that because number one, I think one of the reasons he maybe was testing this just because there's the theory online that Honor Club subscriptions were probably low, so that's probably what he's doing. I think that's fair. I think another reason he was maybe testing this, and I was just considering this the other day, was I wonder if this is also sort of a test run to see how AEW pay-per-views would do on a streamer service, how many people that would bring in for Ring of Honor, and if we scale it up to AEW, how many people would bring it in for a sort of subscription service for AEW? I think this is in a weird way, this could have been like a test run for that idea.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely a possibility. Now if they go to like Max or Hulu, then that changes everything, obviously, right? Because it's like that already has its built in, like Peacock does, which just changes your numbers dramatically. But it is good to see like what's the possibility. And I think if Ring of Honor is going to put their shows on here, I'm going to happily at least give them the $10, the months that they run them, because it was a clean stream, which maybe was the most important part.
It was a great stream. I never had a single issue.
I didn't watch it live, but I did like jump in at one point just to see how it looked.
It looked pretty good. Let's talk about the actual show itself, about the matches itself. Did you watch anything off of 0 Hour, by the way?
I saw what 0 Hour was. I was like, can't be doing that. Can't be doing that. It was the here's the good thing about Ring of Honor, but also like is that it's like the pre-show is indie. It was like the indies, and I was like, don't. I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Garcia great Blake Christian match, that was pretty good, I guess. The Brian Keith versus Jack Cartwheel, that was pretty good as well. Jack Cartwheel
Brian
got so
Keith
much
is
offense.
if Brian Keith doesn't get himself a contract offer after this weekend, I don't know what the hell the guy's got to do.
I have to assume he has one at this rate. At this rate, he gets
He had
push.
a hell of a show.
And then I heard he had a fantastic match against Orange Cassidy the next night as well.
Yeah, it was really good. I think he is very. Here's the thing with Brian Keith. I kind of don't want him to sign yet, like selfishly, because I think like he would have a good little run in Japan, and he's going over for like DDT, but like I want him to get like to Noah or something, and like I think that's where he fits, and then he can come back and sign.
Yeah.
But he was super over, like, they're in Texas, obviously, so that helps. But, on Collision, they're chanting BK. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy against Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. It was quite the weekend. You could build off that star making momentum and stuff. And
I like him a lot.
I still unsure about how I feel about Brian Keith.
You were the one. I knew it. I knew there was someone I knew that wasn't sure about Brian Keith.
Yeah, I'm still not about. I need to watch the Orange Cassidy match from this weekend because here it was like the Jack Cartwheel match was a sort of a Jack Cartwheel showcase match, and then Survival of the Fittest. He obviously had a lot of good moments in there, but it's multi-man, so you can't really get anything from it. I
guess.
Jack Cartwheel was actually really good in this match. I will recommend. If you don't like him, then I get it, but he did a lot of.
I just feel like every match I watch, he misses like 3 moves.
I don't think he missed anything here.
Was it short?
He did a lot of cool stuff that I've never seen before. He did a cartwheel dragon screw.
He should change his name, by the way.
To what?
Jack just not cartwheel.
Jack Flip.
Perry.
Jack Flips.
Perry. We have a replacement. The replacement.
Interesting. Let's get the final battle itself proper. Starting off the night with the AAA mega title match. El Hijo del Vikingo defeats Black Taurus.
I want to say it how Ian Riccaboni says it.
The AAA.
The AAA.
AAA title. El Hijo del Vikingo defeats Black Taurus in what was a fantastic match. Obviously, you and I saw that Black Taurus was announced for the show and got super excited because we both love Black Taurus.
Are you not entertained, folks? Are you not entertained?
I know you're doing the bit, but that's also like what Black Taurus was doing the entire match. He would just throw Vikingo out of the ring and then just stand and be like, "Yeah."
That's a real luchador.
I love it.
I thought Black Taurus had as good a showing as he could have had in this match. I know, like, the moonsault thing pissed off a lot of people.
The Vikingo sort of moonsault.
Yeah, where he messed up twice and then he had to hit it. Whatever. Who cares? It's lucha. Like, come on. I'm used to that. Right? Like, that was, to me, was like the main slip up. Otherwise, this was a hell of a showcase for Taurus. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, how can you let this guy go? You can't let him go anywhere else. He's incredible.
Yeah. And
I think Vikingo got his ass kicked in this. It's like this guy was in pain by the end of this. Like, you could see it. Hell of a way to start off a show. I said it when he bought Ring of Honor, he being Tony Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Lucha infusion into this brand is going to do so much good for them. And you felt it on this show. You felt it pretty much every pay-per-view Tony Khan has run of Ring of Honor, right? You have either a Vikingo title match or, something of the sorts. Yep. And man, what a hot way to start.
Yeah. That's how you bring people in, is lucha. Yeah. That's one of the ways that everyone talks about. Every historian talks about if you want to sort of bring in new people, make new wrestling fans, it's lucha. That's how you do it. Black Taurus rules.
Should be a staple of Ring of Honor moving forward.
He should be everyone's pitching him and Roosh as a tag team, him joining. Now, I don't necessarily know how that'll work. The AAA CMLL dynamic there will be an interesting one, but
yeah, I don't wait, neither of them work for CMLL.
I know, but Roosh used to work for CMLL. Has Roosh been in AAA yet?
Yeah, many times. He main evented one of the Triple Manias this year.
Really? I don't.
No one watches Triple Mania or AAA anymore.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, he did main event one.
looking this up. But yeah, Black Taurus's rules. Fantastic base for
start
the Lucha world.
You know what Ring of Honor needs to be?
What's that?
A show for the nerds. I, being nerd, can say that. You know, like it has to have a little bit of every style. And I think that's what this show really had, right? Had great lucha, had, you know, New Japan influx. Like it had all these like different little things that if you're a fan of pro wrestling, you're going to want to tune into these shows for.
Yeah. How I just looked up Baruch in AAA. How could I forget he was a part of that whole hair mask tournament thing, and that he pulled out like last minute and then came back in last minute?
That's my king. No, I'm just kidding.
Totally forgot about that whole nonsense.
Those are king moves by Roosh.
Yeah, Black Taurus is great. He should be signed. This was a lot of a showcase match, not as much as a showcase match in the later stages, but he just looked great the entire time. He really destroyed Vikingo here. And Vikingo, what was interesting is that, like, I had no idea if Vikingo was hurt or not hurt at different points in this match.
Yep.
Legit. But at the very least, I was thinking to myself that moment of, I want to say it was like Jerry Lynn talking about like Ray Phoenix, being like, Ray Phoenix is great, but if he can just sell a little bit better and we just focus on the selling, then he'll be even better. And I was thinking about that in this moment during this match of, man, Vikingo, whether or not he's actually injured, he's just selling it really well, which is helping slow down the match, which is helping Taurus look even better and allowing Taurus to showcase himself so much. Yeah. I was like, this just is like a perfect match dynamic together here. Great. I love this match.
Best base in wrestling.
Yeah, eat your heart out, Gringo Loco. Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team title match. The Mogul Embassy, Bishop Khan, Brian Cage, and Toa Leona defeat TMDK, Bad Dude, Tito, Kosei Fujita, and Shane Haste.
This is so much better than I had any right to be.
Thank you. Thank you. That was going to be my take. This match ruled.
I was like, wait, time out. What is happening? I was like, what? Bad Dude Tito going crazy. Kosei Fujita, by the way, is like the savior of the junior division for New Japan. I decided that like a few months ago, but this is the first time I get to talk about him.
Yeah,
he rocks. Shane Haste, you know, like Shane Haste was like the least impressive, and I say that in quotations because like he just wasn't in there that long because the match was not long.
No,
but like everyone did their thing. This might be my favorite trios match that the Gates of Agony and Cage have had.
Yeah,
this was better than the Elite one.
This was jam-packed 12 minutes of non-stop action. This was
a little non-stop action.
Well, we'll see. This was, I mean, Gates of Agony looks so good coming out of the World Tag League here. They look so much more fluid, is what I would describe it. Like, describe them and Brian Cage as a team
for an entire tournament. I said crazy what happens when you get to wrestle together for an entire tournament.
Oh yeah, and then finish off with wrestling Okada and Tanahashi. Certainly that helped too. You know, wrestling people that are arguably better than you a lot of the time. You know, that's what you need to do. And they look so much better here. They look so much more fluid. Brian Cage was doing great. Kosei Fujita, despite being so incredibly tiny, just held his own, looked great against all these people. Shane Haste, like you said, least impressive, but still very good. Bad Dude Tito. Bad Dude Tito. We're going to talk about everybody like Black Taurus, Bad Dude Tito. These guys rule. Why aren't they signed
I need more of the Bad Dude. I need more of Taurus. I need more of it. I need it.
Give me Black Taurus versus Bad Dude Tito. We'll do that match. I don't care.
Toss that in Ring of Honor television. I'm there.
Oh, my God. Bad Dude Tito is so good. Again, a very fluid wrestler.
Also, I decided after this match, it's official, TMDK is the best faction in New Japan.
Oh, 100%.
They have all great members.
I've been thinking about that and sitting on that take for months.
Even like I know like people don't love Haste and Nichols as much as like they used to, but like I don't know, they've been pretty good.
But even then, like post G1 Climax, it was like, all right, I'm more into them now.
And Bad Dude Tito, the man, obviously. Kosei Fujita, that guy, and they have Zach. So
and Zack Sabre Jr. I would say probably Oh, in a weird way, like the most underrated best wrestler of the year. Like he is my underrated wrestler of the year contender. Like
Yeah, it would be for me. It'd be probably him and Claudio.
that's a good one too. Claudio's
Claudio's a great one because he's in all these great matches, like these trios and tag matches, and you almost forget, and then you're like, "Oh, right, he was great in that."
Zack Sabre Jr. has literally been champion for almost a full year at this point, and every match rules. He had a match of Oleg Boltin, and I gave like 3.5 stars to
He's
it.
having the opposite of the Orange Cassidy International title reign to me. Where every match is memorable for Zach.
Yeah, there's a lot of orange matches that I don't remember anything about.
Yeah.
Especially early on in the reign. Later in the reign, it gets
later in the reign. It got a lot more memorable, but that's when like I think the story actually kicked in for the reign. Zach's had the story this whole time, and it's been awesome. And I hope he beats Tanahashi. I don't want him to lose.
Yeah, me either. I just want him to be champion forever. But I guess we'll see. Yeah, this match ruled 100%. I mean, Cage match has it at 6.37. I think I went like 3.5. Like that 6.3
should not have been this good.
Yeah, it was unreasonable.
More TMDK.
Speaking of matches that
I literally was like, I feel like I should get a TMDK shirt after this.
I know.
I feel like I should be flying the flag here.
I know. Speaking about matches that really had no business of being this good, in my opinion, the I Quit match between Ethan Page and Tony Nese. Scotty, I do not know what your take about this match was, but this match was unreasonably good. No reason to be how great that it was. I watched this, and
people hounded on it, right?
People were hounding on it. People hated this match, apparently. People thought, they made a bunch of mistakes, which, it happens. We saw the Vikingo match earlier. It happens. This match had such simple wrestling. Tony Nese constantly doing heel work. Ethan Page working from underneath, working the babyface angle, doing everything he can to overcome it. Everything about this match was worked to perfection. Other than some misses and botches in here and whatnot. But it was so good despite that. So great despite that. I came in here thinking this match was going to suck because Ethan Page and Tony Nese are on the 10. And I walked out being like, holy shit, is Ethan Page like the GOAT in Ring of Honor right now? He is so good. He's so good in this spot. This is a perfect spot for him to be in. And Tony Nese was great here. Non-stop, just heel jock, dumbass energy that just ruled. I don't know, like I love this match. Scotty, please tell me that you enjoyed this match as much as I did.
I thought it was good.
Darn it.
I thought it was better than like people hating on it for sure.
Yeah, people were really hating on this match, and I
got 7.2. I think that's fair. It's better than what the Twitter said when I went back and like looked it over.
Yeah, I went on Twitter and everyone was like, this match sucked. And I was like, what?
It definitely didn't suck. I think the efforts were there to make sure it didn't suck. I don't like I Quit matches. So, like, I don't like having to listen to wrestlers talk during the match.
And that's fair. And I think that's totally fair. I don't like it either. But like, I think for
your expectations, obviously, it over-delivered
my expectations. I think also like the I Quit-ness of the match was more subdued than other I Quit matches I've seen. It wasn't constantly the referee going up to them at a simple headlock and be like, do you quit? And be like, I don't quit. No. It felt a little more subdued.
It was definitely better than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ethan Page was in the right spot in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, 100%. I loved his comments in the media scrum after the fact of being like, if they had
a media scrum.
Yeah, they had a media scrum. Of course, they had a media scrum. They always do.
That's crazy. It was like 12 people there.
There was actually some really good questions for Tony Khan, which shocked
why it must have been good.
But someone asked Ethan Page about like this idea of like the challenge of people being in Ring of Honor, but like also seemingly want to be on the main quote unquote main roster in AEW. And Ethan Page made some sort of comment about how, if I'm going to be here, I have to make it the best thing here. Like, company man, Ethan Page over here. If I'm going to be in this spot, I have to do the best thing available to me.
The way you just phrased that, I thought Cody said it.
The way he said it was like Cody said it,
Yeah.
100%. It was basically like, if I'm here, then I have to be the best thing here. And I was like, perfect. That's what I want. That's what I want to hear out of this wrestler.
Right.
I've never been so in tune with Ethan Page than right now. I'm shocked by myself.
I'll say the one thing that this show was missing before we get to the rest of it. Boy, oh boy, do I wish there were some tag team titles around.
Oh yeah.
What makes Ring of Honor best? Tag team wrestling. What doesn't exist? The tag team titles.
That's definitely true. I would have been taking like maybe a number one contenders match on this show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Make sure, act like they exist.
Mm-hmm. There's no reason not to do a number one contenders match. But yeah, I really like this match. I was really into it. Dude, I went 3 3/4 on this match. That's how high I am on this.
Damn.
Big fan. I was shocked by how good this was. If they didn't do as many mess up that they did, I probably would have gone 4. That so disappointing that they did that. What was it? The Frankensteiner spot off the top rope to go through 2 chairs down below and then completely whiff on the chairs. That was such a disappointment. But the crowd, but also to that point, the crowd also really helped this match. The crowd was into it the entire way through. Just another point of how great the crowd is. Then, of course, we had a Nyla Rose defeats Vert Vixen in a 2-minute, 41-second match. Total squash. Who cares? I think the idea here was that Vert Vixen is from Austin, Texas, apparently.
Squasher. Nice.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like this is a hometown person. That being said, Vert Vixen on their cage match has it listed as Lake Forest, California as their birthplace. I guess maybe they were raised in Austin, Texas, or some sort of Texas town.
I'm not
Sherlock Holmes. Sure, but she is like 100% like a Defy wrestler in Seattle. Right. So it's like she is not known really as being a Texas wrestler.
She brought Hyan in.
Oh yeah, Hyan would have make more sense in this.
She's from Texas.
Hyan would have made way more sense in this spot.
And she's really good, but I'm happy she didn't get squashed in 2 minutes, I guess.
So. That is fair. Yeah, this was 100% a cool down match as we get into the next match, which is the Ring of Honor World TV title Survival of the Fittest 2023 final 6-way elimination match for the vacant Ring of Honor World TV title. Of course, Kyle Fletcher gets the win here by defeating Brian Keith, who got the spot in the 0 hour earlier tonight. Dalton Castle, Commander, Lee Johnson, and Lee Moriarty. Scotty, I raved about the last match. Please, the floor is yours.
This match was so good. Like, I thought for a lot of the night this might end up being my match of the night. It wasn't, and silly goose on my part. I know what later happened, but my goodness, everyone had a moment. Every single wrestler had a moment to shine. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, this match is the embodiment of what Ring of Honor should be moving forward. All these guys should be in major spots moving forward on this show. Lee Johnson, this is the first time I've seen Big Shotty in forever.
Yeah.
He is so much better than he was last time I saw him. Lee Moriarty, oh my God, he lives. The Lee Moriarty I remember that was absolutely rocking when he first signed with AEW. Mm-hmm. He's still in there. Mm-hmm. I saw it in this match. I love Lee Moriarty. I think he'd have like this incredible run in like Japan or something if he ever wanted to go. Which he definitely does, but I think he just signed too early.
Yeah.
Either way, he was great. He was great in this match. Brian Keith, I think, goes without saying how good he was in this match. He even got an elimination.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton Castle fit his role. You know, he plays to the crowd so well.
Extremely entertaining.
Hitting all the suplexes, blah, blah, blah. I guess he has a few with Johnny TV or whatever I learned on this.
That was, if I had to take one thing away from this match that I did not enjoy, it was whatever that
yeah, was. It was so minimal that like I was like, all right, whatever.
Johnny TV comes out, ruins the boys, and I'm like, why did he do that?
Yeah, I was like, what? And that's one of those things where you kind of wish that maybe you were kind of a little bit more in line, but because there was no hint at this being a thing. But Commander was great. Yep. And of course, Kyle Fletcher just getting the win. Kyle Fletcher, them going full-time babyface, not babyface, full-time singles guy with him.
Yeah.
Kind of a big shock, I would say. I think it's a little bit of a big shock. I get it. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's crazy. It's just a little bit shocking because what happens when Mark Davis comes back? Because here was my fear when Aussie Open was signed. This this was my fear that Kyle Fletcher would show how good he is on TV once or twice, and he would benefit from that. But I loved his new look. I loved him kind of getting away from the green Aussie Open stuff, the United Empire stuff, and going kind of with this new singles look. I thought that was like a great way to set him apart. He was great in this match.
He was ginormous.
Well, yeah, he had a lot of small guys around him, so that helps. I loved this match.
That last 9 minutes of him and Commander.
Oh my god, so good, so good.
Best part.
Yeah, it was the best part. But I just thought like every bit of this match was so good. Survival of the fittest, absolutely. Like, you want to talk about a match that over delivered? It was this one, because going in, I was like, I just hope a young guy wins. Like, that's all I wanted. I was just like, anyone besides Dalton Castle. No offense to Dalton Castle, but
and the crowd really wanted Dalton Castle too.
Well, yeah. But focus on the future. That is what this match is all about. And I hope all of these guys have a big spot moving forward in Ring of Honor. You mix Top Flight in with these guys, and like, that's a great young core that Ring of Honor should really be building up moving forward. I have no problem if we start moving the titles to the young core, like the television title here, and then, you know, the Ring of Honor World title is about to not exist, but you know, whatever. We have all the other belts.
Did you see, speaking about belts, did you see that last night during a Ring of Honor TV taping, Tony Khan came out and announced the new Ring of Honor Women's TV title?
I did see that.
Secondary belt for the women's
division. Interesting.
Don't know how I feel about it yet.
I've read. I did my homework because like my initial reaction was like, why? And then I was like, okay, well, let me see what the people that actually watch Ring of Honor Weekly think about this. And they were like, this is a good thing because they have a lot of like indie talent and stuff. Like they have Rachel Ellering, Layla Hirsch, all the, you know, bunch, the Renegades. Like they have a lot of more women's talent on that show, I think, than they do AEW.
My feeling on that though is that like it just sort of feels like a consolation prize. Like Athena runs roughshod over the entire division for a full year,
I get that,
and it's like, okay, here's a new belt.
I mean, it felt randomly added to me, but if they can make it work, like they've made the TBS work, well, when Chris had it, I guess. Otherwise, it's kind of, you know, that's what it is. That's cool. I have no problems with it because like I don't watch Ring of Honor all the time, so
that's fair.
If they can make it work, they can make it work. I think there's a lot of great women's wrestlers involved to make it work. It's just a matter of, do they book it well? And at least based off the Athena stuff, it's possible.
Going back to the Survival of the Fittest match, you know me, I've been praising the well of Kyle Fletcher for years now. I love this guy. He's so good. He did during the pandemic. Mark Davis was also still injured, and he had a very good singles run. That was the moment where he started like putting on a bunch of muscle and stuff. And he had a very good singles run in Rev Pro. Shocker, yes, I recognize that. But he had a very good run as singles moment, and the idea of just bringing Mark Davis back, obviously. You know, that could hurt this sort of singles idea run of Kyle Fletcher, but Mark Davis is so much more older than Kyle Fletcher, so it's going to end up going back to singles run Kyle Fletcher at some point, obviously. Mark Davis, I think, can easily go back in. My one concern with it, though, is the fact that we're single division Kyle Fletcher and putting a title belt on him here makes me concerned that Mark Davis is injured for a long time. Which that very much concerns me, but I'm into it. You know, I tweeted this out. Like Kyle Fletcher everything I want in a pro wrestler, right? His moveset is fantastic. There's nothing better I love than his brainbusters, his goddamn leg lariats that he's always doing. They have V-trigger vibes to me. He runs full speed at every single move he does. He is so good.
British.
His British, well, he's Australian, I think, right?
I know that's a joke.
His look is fantastic.
They're called Aussie Open.
That's fair. His look is great. He looks so good. He's so well put together. His new work is great. He is pro eczema awareness. We all saw that rash in the back. He's pro eczema awareness. So we gotta stand a king here. He is so good and such a great single star eventually that getting him in AEW Ring of Honor is such a good spot for him. And he can develop so much as a singles wrestler here. And then when Mark Davis comes back, we can go back into the tag division a little bit more. And then when Mark Davis eventually retires or whatever, I don't know what the age difference between the two here, but
like 10 years.
I believe it's like something crazy like 10 years like that. Kyle Fletcher's also, here's an age difference. Kyle Fletcher's 24 years old.
Yeah.
I'm only a couple years older than this guy. And I'm sitting here being like, my body's falling apart, and this guy looks like a Greek god.
Do you want my complaint?
Sure. About Kyle Fletcher?
Really. It's not really Kyle Fletcher. He just happens to sadly be involved.
Mark Davis, 33 years old, by the way.
My complaint is the misutilization of the two people ahead of him in his own faction.
Oh, that's
which is
fair.
Inosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse. I watched him win this, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! Good for him!" And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "He's the number 3 guy in his faction. Why is he the first one to win a title?" And yeah, that's my only complaint. That has nothing to do with Kyle Fletcher. I think Kyle Fletcher being a champion is great. Mm-hmm. I think I would like to see him in singles matches against pretty much everyone from this match.
Yeah,
for the belt.
The media scrum, they talked about how the next challenge might probably be him versus Commander.
Oh, great. Commander gets pinned for the 19th time. He got pinned twice in the same night on AEW Ring of Honor television.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that sick? That's so cool. That's so cool that they were like, you know what? You're so good at getting pinned. We're going to have you do it twice.
At least he lasted 25 minutes before getting pinned here.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that they put him in the end. Like, he's good, so like I have no problem with it. This was probably one of his cleanest matches, by the way.
Yeah,
which helped a lot. I thought that helped the match. But this is my second favorite match of the night, which might be a hot take. But
no, you want a hotter take? This is my match of the night. I love this match. I thought it was great.
Wow, that is the hottest take.
That's probably the hottest take. I thought this match was fantastic. Everything about this match I really loved. You know, even the only thing I didn't like was the Johnny TV stuff, but everything else surrounding Dalton Castle I thought was great. He perfectly played his role of being entertaining in the first third of this match or so. You know, Lee Moriarty looks great come out of this. Brian Keefe gets a good pin by beating Lee Moriarty. Kyle Fletcher just looks fantastic. Commander did great. You know, Lee Johnson did his part. But I thought this match was great.
Lee Johnson did good in the very little showing he got. Like he didn't get a big showing, but he was clean in the little stuff that he did with Lee Moriarty. So I'd like to see more of him too in the future.
Fully agree. Moving down the line, Ring of Honor Pure title match. Wheeler Yuta defeats Tom Lawler. This is the moment where you Slack message me and says Tom Lawler needs better. This was a terrible spot to put a pure title match, gotta say. The crowd, this match and the match after that, the Keith Lee match, the crowd died so much because they got so tired from the killers in the previous matches.
Got shoehorned in the middle of the two of the 3 big matches, which is great for them. I thought it was fine. Yeah,
same. It was fully fine. You know, Tom Lawler did good. I liked the psychology that Wheeler Yuta did. It just was like such a bad spot after the previous match. I think if I watch this match separately a week from now, then I'd probably walk away thinking it'd be better. But here it wasn't as good. Speaking of matches that weren't as good, singles matches: Keith Lee, Shane Taylor. I like this match even less than the match prior. I mean, the best spot obviously was that sort of the Canadian Destroyer spot, Shane Taylor to Keith Lee. That was a good spot. But other than that, fully disinterested. Didn't really care what was happening here at all.
No.
It is what it is. I mean, we talked about it going into the preview. Is that like, how can I care about a match that was like hot maybe a year ago?
Right. Story of Keith Lee's AEW run.
What is happening? Can we talk about it? What is happening with this guy's AEW run? He really is doing nothing, right?
Yep.
Is he injured all the time? I don't know what's happening.
I don't think he's been hurt a single time in AEW.
When did he come into this company? He came in 2022 in February. He has pretty much wrestled. He's wrestled a lot, but he's wrestled maybe a match a month. At most, he wrestled 6 matches in 1 month.
I'd argue that's low.
Yeah, and WWE obviously wrestling way more than that. But yeah, he only wrestled this year alone 18 matches with 3 months not wrestling at all. And for the most part, every month was either 2. It was about 2 matches a month.
Yeah.
Every storyline idea, naturally limitless. That whole tag team with Dustin Rhodes, that isn't going anywhere. The Swerve thing didn't go anywhere. Now that it's being brought back, all right, fine. Shane Taylor, that didn't go anywhere. Now it's being brought back here.
We just talk about how ridiculous that is that they're bringing it back now.
It was hot again. Hot a year ago.
It was red hot a year ago. And they're like, nah, you know what? Doesn't make sense. What? How does it not make sense? There's a tag team that broke up. It's the most natural freaking story in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyways, let's move on to the Fight to Honor Jay Briscoe / Fight Without Honor 6-man tag team match between Blackpool Combat Club, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Jon Moxley versus the team of FTR and Mark Briscoe. Obviously, there was some confusion on the internet watching this live. I don't know if you experienced this when you were watching this Unspoiled, Scotty, about everyone being like,
Fight Without Honor thing.
Yeah, this was announced as a Fight Without Honor. What are you talking about? And then it ends in a double count out, and then they announce a Fight Without Honor, and go for another 11 minutes.
Graphics spoiled it.
Match full. If you're at all on social media, then this graphic fully spoiled the match for you. But despite all that, what do you think about this match?
Oh, I loved this match. I thought they tried to replay the Briscoes FTR 3 matches in one. Regular match to start, kind of 2 different falls to match the 2 out of 3 falls match, and then a Fight Without Honor to kind of match the dog collar match. I thought it was excellent. One of my favorite trios matches of the year, maybe my favorite trios match. I don't remember them all. There's been a lot of great trios matches this year, folks. And I just think it embodied everything that I wanted it to. It was 6 great wrestlers putting on one hell of a show. I think my favorite part of this match was how Blackpool Combat Club was so good at being heels.
Yeah.
And being the heels of this match and being the pricks. That it made for just such a great moment when Mark finally hit the J Driller on the chairs to pin Bryan Danielson to get the win. Like, I don't know how many times I'm emotional at the end of a Fight Without Honor, but this was one of those times. I was like, man, that was perfect. I loved this match. I thought it was excellent. It was everything I wanted it to be. And when I realized they were trying to kind of capture the magic of all 3 of those FTR matches, I was like, man, that was an interesting strategy. But I think Mark Briscoe, he has a real conversation, I think, next year to get a real push up the card, because he has been incredible since coming back. And I would love to see him and FTR win the trios belts, actually, after this. I think he doesn't want to do tag team wrestling, which I get. There's no reason you shouldn't do trios. Yeah,
there was they had that conversation brought up. That question was brought up in the media scrum of, will we see more continuation of FTR and Mark Briscoe? And FTR was sort of like, yeah, we would love to do that. However, that's up to Mark Briscoe if he wants to continue doing that. And Mark, I believe, said that he would be intrigued about that idea for sure, but he said that he is basically more interested in being a singles wrestler right now. He talked about how it was he brought up a great kayfabe comment about the C2 and his record in the C2 about being, he's like, it's weird. I think one of the reasons I'm losing all the time in the Continental Classic is I get this feeling. He's like, I'm getting winded. I don't know how to pace myself. I get to a point where it's like, all right, time to tag out, but no one's there. Which just heart wrenching. But this idea of like, I don't know how to pace myself as a singles wrestler because I'm a tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to figure this thing out. I want to figure out how to be a singles wrestler. And I was like, yeah, Mark Briscoe, a perfect kayfabe comment that makes sense of your record. As you go into your last match, just so good, man. Just so good.
He'd be perfect to beat Christian Cage.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Christian Cage is such a great dickhead. Yeah. I know, like, they probably are gonna give it to Edge or whatever, but man, it'd be so like I just want the world for Mark Briscoe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some morons I saw on Twitter like making comments about him during his match and stuff. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
He's great. He's really good.
He's so good. He's so good.
What else about this match, the fight without honor? I tweeted this out that I also got emotional at the end here because Mark Briscoe all year long has been teasing hitting the J Driller, and obviously I watched back the tape. He's hit it once before, and that was at the Night to Remember Jay Briscoe back a week or two after Jay Briscoe
against Jay Lethal.
Against Jay Lethal, he hit it there, and that's how he won the match there. But he has not hit it since. He teases it almost every single match, if not every single match. And just same thing. It's like he is able to finally hit the moment when it's a match to honor his brother. He's unable to hit it at any other point, but when he's able to, a week or two after his brother passes away against Jay Lethal, he hits it and gets the win. A night where it's practically a year after one of their biggest matches in their careers, he hits it and wins it on one of the best, if not the best, wrestlers in the world.
Danielson of all people.
It's just, how can it not bring you to some sort of emotional moment in your life?
Bryan Danielson's in the midst of this huge tournament where he's a focal point, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll get pinned."
Yeah, fine. That's fine with me. We gotta make it believable. I'll take a J Driller to some chairs. That's fine.
Yeah, it's just, man, I need more. I need more of the Blackpool Combat Club's A-team teaming.
Yeah.
This is the first time we got. I feel like that's a forgotten part of this, but I was like, they're so good. Just I need the trios titles to be back to greatness, okay? And I think it starts with these three or anyone. No offense to the Acclaimed, but not anyone that's not the Acclaimed right now.
I'll give offense to the Acclaimed. I fully forgot who the AEW Trios title champions were, for a full month, and I was like, who? I was like thinking to myself, like, who are the champions? Like, I used to, back in my Freakazoid days, I used to know everything about this company, right? And now I'm sitting here, struggling, who the hell are the Trios champions? And to think, a year ago today, the Elite and Death Triangle were fighting tooth and nail over these titles.
Now look where we are with those six.
They're those six, the Elite and Death Triangle. That's a great point too. But yeah, a year later, 6 of them are.
Two of them don't want to come to work. One of them's hurt. Nope, three of them's hurt. Technically,
3 of them's hurt.
Penny, Pac, and Phoenix are all hurt. And we got Penta.
And Penta had a great trios match on.
Yeah, he did. Rampage. Shout out to Penta. Thanks for coming to work.
But the Acclaimed are just the only thing they've done in the past. The trios title haven't been relevant since about August, probably since the Acclaimed won it, and then since then they didn't really do much with it. And then they were involved in the MJF storyline, where the titles were the least important aspect of that whole thing, obviously. And then they got kayfabe storyline injured. And now they're back, and now they're facing Top Flight.
I want these titles to matter again. Listen, I'm perfectly fine if Top Flight win the belt.
100%. That's my ultimate point: is switch the titles.
I love Top Flight. I'm not a big Action Andretti guy, but I love Top Flight. I think they're great.
Same.
Dante Martin being this good already since coming back is not fair. Like, this dude's doing crazy shit as if he didn't snap his leg in 7 pieces and I had to see it.
Yeah. And they had to show it to me before he showed up again. this company.
Just to give you a reminder. By the way, this is what happened to him. Oh, okay. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Great. I just got that out of my mind. I can't believe you showed it to me again.
You're welcome. I love Top. I would make Top Flight tag champions next year.
100%. 100% agree with that. I mean, they have the title. They set the
Speaking
title
of
match.
Belts that need to be re-inspired.
Well, hold on, real quickly. They did set up a title match.
To Ricky Starks and Big Bill, though.
They did set up a title match for Top Flight and the Acclaimed. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. They should win them.
They should.
They won't, but they should.
100% they should. They should win them again, and then the Lucha team could fight them for the titles, and then we'll get another rematch of that.
Really good Lucha stuff.
Any other thoughts on the Fight Without Honor? I thought it was really, really great. It was like not my match of the night. I really enjoyed the Survival of the Fittest a little bit more, but this was also really, really good. Nothing to take away from that. That table spot with the thumbtacks on it.
Oh,
it's like, what are we doing?
Not in the I don't know why, but anytime like someone gets thrown from the top rope onto a ladder, I get absolutely nasty. Like, it's nasty to me. Mark Briscoe taking that spot, psychotic.
I got so nervous because when he landed, obviously he was held up by those chairs.
Yeah.
And when he landed, his foot was like in a weird spot. And I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, please, God, please don't break your leg.
I think why I love this match so much is that they wrestled the normal match first. And like the normal match was great. And they're like,
yeah.
And they're like, let's have a great Fight Without Honor to end it. I was like,
the normal match was great. And then it was like, okay, we came in respecting each other. And then over the course of like 20 some odd minutes,
they're like
fully devolved.
They're like, fuck you, I hate you.
They devolved as humans as the match went on.
Like, it's so funny because like the next night Danielson's like this big like fighting underdog against the big monster, and the night before he's this absolute prick that is like trying to ruin Mark Briscoe when he's trying to fight for his fallen brother. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
I love it. I love this company. I love Bryan Danielson.
The best wrestler.
The best wrestler. Next match here was the Proving Ground match. Eddie Kingston defeats Anthony Henry. Like you said, it was 5 minutes and 45 seconds. So I totally understand why you missed this. It was good. I think I went 2 3/4. Like, it was good for what it was. Anthony Henry definitely did a good job of showcasing himself against Eddie Kingston, but ultimately, totally skippable. It was a slow down, cool down match. For the previous match. As we get to the main event, the Ring of Honor Women's World Title match, Athena defeats Billy Starks. Scotty, would you like to go first, or would I like to go first? Because it was this match was good. I thought this match was good. I thought it was pretty good.
Guess you'll go first.
I saw you looking down, so I was like, okay, I'll stall at the very least. And I was like, let's start talking. I thought this match was pretty good. I don't know. I'm a weird stickler about like length of time, and I don't necessarily know if Billy Starks has it yet to be able to do a 30-minute match. I don't think she's there yet. I think Athena can there if she had a different partner. I don't know if Billy Starks is there yet. I think it was just a little too long at roughly 30 minutes. I thought Billy Starks did a really good job of selling that sort of underground, babyface stuff, fighting from underneath as she was getting utterly destroyed by Athena in the first half. And she did a good job to come back. It was just like, okay, I think it's just there's not enough here. There's not enough meat on the bone. Still a very good match nonetheless. And then the finish, or rather the post-match, I really did not enjoy. I did not
make any sense to me.
I did not make any sense. We have this whole year-long story of Athena recruiting. Well, maybe not year long, but half year long story of Athena recruiting these
I was gonna say,
minions.
shit,
And
that was a year long.
yeah, I was like, oh, let me try to remember.
I actually didn't know. That's why I was more shocked. I was like, really?
I think it's 6 months because I remember the first half was just the story was Athena just destroying people. But we get the story of the minions.
Exactly what she did here.
Yeah. The story of these minions joining up with Athena and learning under her tree or whatever, and then you have this sort of breakup with Billy Starks. Billy Starks in the post-match promo being like, "What do you want from me?" And then all upset, all frustrated about Athena. Doesn't want to shake her hand, doesn't want to do all this other stuff. And then she's like, "What do you want from me?" All upset and frustrated. And then Athena's like, "I want you to be my minion." And then Billy Starks is like, "All right," and then hugs her, big old smile on her face.
I was
It's
like,
just
what?
it felt like in that moment it undid for me everything about the match and everything about the story.
Sure.
It's like now we're back to square one with zero change.
Yeah.
It was so upsetting. I was like, okay, why did I just watch this match?
Yeah,
If all you had to do was all you had to do really was Athena to then ask, "I want you to be my minion," and Billy Starks to be like, okay, no pushback, was very frustrating.
This was definitely really long. I think so. I liked the match. I thought the beating Billy took was incredibly brutal.
Yeah.
Like I thought Athena's offense was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I thought Billy fighting back was pretty good. I think my main critique is that one, I did not like the post match either. I just was like that. All right, cool. Shout out Big Lexi Nair. That's what I call her now. Is Big Lexi Nair. For reasons that shout out Big Bill. But I think my main problem is that they just made it go way too long, ultimately. And I'm not usually someone that really cares about time. Like if you could fit the time, then great. But there was no need for this to go 28 minutes. I think you cut off even just 5 minutes, and this is to the level that I think a lot of other people felt it was at. I still think it was really good. And I think Billy's going to be great. I do. She's 19 and she's having this big main event in this huge spot.
I want to make it clear. I don't want to take anything away from her. I went 3.25 on this match. I thought it was really good. I don't want to take anything away from Billy Starks. It's just I don't think she's quite. I think this is a good thing to have under her belt, but I don't think she's quite there. And I think that's okay because she's 19 years old.
I thought it was the best match of her career.
I would agree 100%.
And I think she's well on her way.
100%.
For sure. And I'm excited to see what she continues to do. The one thing I'm happy about is that she's staying with Athena because I think she's going to learn the most from Athena.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish the story made more sense. They could have done the post match better, right? I just feel like the way they were fighting, and then it's oh yeah, you're my minion again. It was what? Wait, huh?
Mm-hmm.
If they I needed a little more fight there, but nonetheless, I'm actually happy Athena won. I saw some people kind of back and forth on that. I'm happy Athena won. The only reason for that is Julia Hart and Toni Storm aren't losing anytime soon.
Yeah.
I don't want Athena going up to the main roster and just being a number for one of them after this. I feel if she's going to build her way to a title match on AEW television, she probably is going to have to win the title. So I'm perfectly fine with her keeping it together. I've been trying to figure out who beats Athena. And I will give this one thought before moving on is that Yuka Sakazaki officially left TJPW last week.
Yeah.
I think there's a real possibility that it's her. Because it would be something they run back, obviously, from whenever the hell that happened.
I think earlier this year, I think it was the Mania match, right? The Supercard of
Honor. Yeah. There we go. Thank you. I think that's a real possibility. I think the Willow idea sailed. Athena beat her twice. No need to run that back. You can run back the Yuka match though. Now that Yuka is going to be a full-time AEW wrestler. So,
yep. Did I also see that Yamashita also graduated?
No, she did not.
Okay, I thought I saw someone tweet that out, and I was like, "What?"
Some people think she will eventually, but okay. I don't see it because Yuka, unlike her, had a contract with AEW already. So
Yeah, that's why I was confused. I was like,
No.
I don't know. I
No.
don't
She's
know.
their champion. So.
Yeah, that's why I was so confused by that tweet. But yeah, you can make sense. I can see that as a
I
run
do
back.
Riho because to me, Riho wouldn't have to like. I don't know what the hell why Riho's in and out all the time, but like Riho's so like here and there. Like I feel like if she beat Athena, at the very least, you could have her around to build to each big pay-per-view,
Yeah,
and that would be enough.
yeah.
But
Well, we'll hold on Riho because she's busy trying to win a title that I need her to win.
we both know she's not.
I know.
I do hope that's Mariah May's first match, though.
I agree. I think, I'm not taking anything away from Billy Starks. I think she did a really good job for the spot she was in. She's 19. She has plenty to learn. This is a great spot for her to learn. Am I shocked by Athena winning? No, I mean, at the end of the day, it would have been interesting to do Billy Starks, but like 100%, the better idea is to keep the title on Athena. I hope we do get to see her more in AEW. There was that discussion in the media scrum about her doing more stuff on AEW. And I believe I believe Tony Khan said that something along the lines of, yes, we want her to do more stuff on AEW, but I don't want that to compromise how good of a like how important she is to Ring of Honor right now. And I'm like, that's fair, but I don't know.
My favorite part is, I'd love to see her do more on AEW. I was like, hey Tony, do you know who controls that?
Oh, Tony Khan, a man of mystery over here. Any other thoughts on Ring of Honor Final Battle or its main event before we move on?
Another great show.
$10
made the show that much better. Actually, the past ones have been pay-per-view, so you're a little bit more, you're a little bit more judgmental on those. This one, I was like, oh, this is easy, easy time, easy good time. I think with AEW, this is not AEW. With Ring of Honor pay-per-views, you kind of you don't miss.
You don't miss. Well, before we get to the next topic, I'm going to do a little commercial spot here since we're at almost the 2-hour mark and we're about to hit the third hour. A little commercial here to plug the Patreon, patreon.com/countoutpod. This also gives Scotty a chance to go to the bathroom if he needs to go to the bathroom because I might have to go to the bathroom or something. Patreon.com/countoutpod. We have the Patreon available, of course, and we would love for people to join it. I will say that I have a new show starting in the new year that I know Scotty knows about. I know he's going to be a guest on eventually at some point. That a new show called The Ballot, and basically what that show is going to be. I'll have a commercial that runs out as well, probably next week or so. Basically, the show on the Patreon is going to be that every month or so, I'm going to go through some of the new additions to the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame ballot. People that aren't returning, but rather like fully new additions on the Hall of Fame ballot. So, for example, some people that were on that list, let me pull up my list right here. Some people on that list were Zack Sabre Jr. That episode's already recorded. So, Zack Sabre Jr., Cody Rhodes, Scotty, I have him down for the Cody Rhodes show. Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt, Sami Zayn, El Dandy, Gran Hamada in the Mexico region, Asuka from WWE, and Kento Miyahara, and a bunch of other people. So every month we'll have a new episode called Of the Ballot on the Patreon, patreon.com/countoutpod. So sign up in the new year, and sign up to the $5 tier in the new year, and you'll be able to get that show when it comes out. Obviously, we have a bunch of other stuff on the Patreon. We have Drop Your Shorts, these sort of bonus episodes for Okada Shorts. When those come out, you and I typically, we might have to figure out something new for us, Scotty, because we typically also do the, sort of bonus audio post shows for the AEW Ring of Honor pay-per-views, but obviously those have a lot of the time been happening on Saturdays now. So you and I might have to come up with some new idea for the Patreon because we end up just talking about those on the real show, obviously. But patreon.com/countoutpod. I have a bunch of new ideas coming out working on the Great Birthday Bash, the ballot. We have a bunch of new ideas coming out in the new year. So we would appreciate it if you join the $5 or even the $3 subscription model on Patreon. So to support everyone, not just here at Ring Post Radio, but everyone on the network, on the Count Out Network. So again, patreon.com/Count Out Pod. All right, let's get into the next topic here. Let's talk about CMLL. We both watched that show. CMLL had a show last Friday, of course. Their Super VR days. Can't pronounce words right now. Show last Friday. This show was important to us to cover because it was the re-debut, we'll say, of Andrade El Idolo in CMLL, La Sombra once upon a time in CMLL. We wanted to talk about it. But of course, not only that, but we had a very great semi-main event between Mascarada Dorada and Rocky Romero for the World Historic Welterweight title. So, Scotty, what do you think about this CMLL show?
I've decided that Mascarada Dorada is the wrestler that I've claimed is like everyone needs to keep an eye on in 2024. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic. He really is. Like he's the future of Lucha Libre, and this was his first like huge major win in what I thought was another great match for Rocky this year in CMLL. Dorada's 21 years old. He's 21 years old, and he's well on his way to being one of the best, truthfully, in the world. Like I think sky is the limit for him. I think he is a lock for Best of Super Juniors this year as well, which I mean is as exciting as anything if he's in that. He feels like the replacement for like a Dragon Lee in terms of excitement for CMLL.
I didn't think about that, but that's very interesting.
Very different wrestlers, right? Because Dragon Lee's, he has the power game to him, but they're the types of guys that like kind of explode, I think, in terms of popularity. He's getting a little bit everywhere, right? He's doing MLW. I think he's doing Prestige or West Coast next year. And
if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking it up right now. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's on the Fantastica Mania tour.
He is on the tour. So I think this is just the start. And I think when he gets to Fantastica Mania, he's going to make a lot of new fans that way too. The ending of this match was incredible. This guy hit like so you know how like Bandito does the
21 plex?
The 21 plex? Well, Dorada did that, like the bounce off the ropes. But then he did a fucking Dominator.
I saw that. I was like, holy crap, what the hell was that? I
literally screamed, holy shit, that was sick. And then he hits the I don't remember. Was it the Shooting Star Press? Is that what he went with?
As his finisher?
Yeah, I was like, huh? He's what? He's awesome. He's so good. This match was like almost too clean, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like I was like, this is very clean. Like there was no slip ups. It was just like such
the level of lucha in CMLL is bar none.
I love this. I thought it was great. I think their first one still beats it for me, just by a little. Mm-hmm. But I thought this was just it's really good. Must see from CMLL once again. Probably their last like must see. Actually, I won't say that yet because I know Andrade's booked a few more times.
Yeah, you never know with CMLL for the year that
I know he's starting to get back in the ring with Volador next week. So,
yeah, this match. The welterweight it was not welterweight. The historic welterweight
title. You don't have to say the title. They don't even care about the belts.
I know, but I know they don't necessarily care about the belts, but it definitely felt like a
big title match,
a big title match, and a big crowning moment for Dorada. After what a year that this guy has been on. Beginning of this year, not even named
3 names.
Dorada. He's had 3 names over the course of the year. He changed the entire gimmick over the course of the year. And since then, this guy has been on a rocket ship. And you can really feel that, like, speaking of rockets, Rocky really takes a liking to this guy. Rocky Romero is obviously working really hard to get him over in America as well. We saw this similar match, maybe a little bit slower on the MLW show, on the MLW One Shot show. And he's working really hard to get him over in America as well. Rocky Romero definitely sees something in this guy and is willing to, after the year that Rocky Romero has had, willing to put over Mascarada Dorada in this sort of spot. I know that the titles don't necessarily matter. We all know that the titles don't necessarily matter. But after a 329-day reign of Rocky Romero, putting the belt on Dorada definitely feels important. It definitely feels like it has value. And I definitely appreciate that whole aspect. There was a point, I don't know if you saw this, but Lucha Blog wrote an article, tweeted about this. He talks about how in the Wrestling Observer, they talked about the Mexico MVP award. And they talked about, it's probably going to be Vikingo or Mystico, right? They talked about it.
Yeah.
Lucha Blog wrote a post and said, they're obviously great. They're obviously great Lucha competitors, but any Mexico MVP conversation that doesn't include Rocky Romero is not worth its weight in gold. Rocky Romero, and I completely agree with him, Rocky Romero has had a fantastic year in Mexico, and he is one of the reasons I think that brought us so many American viewers into watching CMLL more this year. That his whole feud with Volador Jr. earlier this year, going into his feud with Mystico, going into his feud with Mascarada Dorada, that whole experience brought so many more of us American viewers to CMLL's very confusing streaming service.
It's not even yeah, it's something. All right. It's easy.
Thankfully. It's easy, but it's weird, needlessly complicated sometimes. No matter what, though, he's had a great year. He's had a fantastic year in Mexico, and putting Mascarada Dorado on the spot and giving him the title belt, even when the titles don't really matter, really felt important. And I think Rocky was trying to make it feel important at the very least.
For sure.
So that was a really good spot. Main event, of course, was the 6-man with Andrade. He was teamed up with Angel de Oro and Sobrano Jr., defeating the team of Mystico, Atlantis Jr., and Star Jr., sort of an MVP lineup there on the babyface side. What do you think about this main event spot with Andrade?
Him and Mystico were killing me. They just kept doing the crowd stuff, and I was like, this is exactly what I paid for. I was like, this is what I live for. The crowd was incredible for this match. Absolutely incredible. The wrestling was, your simple Mystico main event wrestling, but like that's enough sometimes. I don't know. I had a great time with it. The rules kind of confused the hell out of me this time around because, so it's 2 out of 3 falls, but at the end they just eliminated De Oro and Star Jr. or something, and I was like, "What?"
I don't really know what was happening.
I was very confused there, and then Soberano Jr. pinned Atlantis for the win. And I was like, "All right, cool. I'm fine with that. I would have liked the communication on that one, but that's fine." But it was a lot of fun. That's what this ultimately was, and I think Andrade, the more he kind of reconnects with CMLL, it's gonna get better and better. He has 5 dates. I think by the end, hopefully, he gets a big match with Volador or something, and he can really show it out. This was all about the moment rather than the match itself. And the moment raised it up. I'll give it that.
And you can tell Andrade was really focused on the moment by every time constantly going back to the ramp, standing in the exact same spot and doing the pose. That's Andrade's going for the moment. Yeah, I that was my take going into this, is that Andrade looked good here, but he wasn't. You could tell that he was weirdly rusty, right?
Yeah.
He messes up the Mystico's finisher. He doesn't quite hit all of his spots per se. All the tag teaming lucha stuff, which that's fine. He hasn't been in this company since, I don't know, a decade or something like that. Hasn't been in this company for a very long time. So nothing against him there. But yeah, I think you're right. I think after a couple more nights, a couple more chances, he can have some really fun, better lucha here. Um,
You just
you
sounded like Kalisto when he cut that promo. Really good lucha stuff.
Yeah, I think he just needs to do more lucha stuff at the end of the day, and I think a couple more dates will help him achieve that. He looked a little rusty to me in the lucha sphere, in the CMLL at the very least, lucha sphere, which is I don't think he's done that level lucha
Hit
in.
the best hammerlock DDT of his life, though.
That is true. That is accurate. That is accurate. That looked killer. Yeah, I think it's just he hasn't been at this level of lucha for like a decade, so he'll find it, he'll figure it out. It's in there somewhere. He'll bring it out, and he'll be so much better in the new year probably. But yeah, good show, good show nonetheless. We'll do instead of doing one more review, let's mix it up and do a preview here. Let's talk about AEW World's End.
You had 2 previews to close out, right?
Yeah, we got 2 previews and got one more review as well. But we'll do a preview here. We're talking about AEW World's End here, the top of the 3rd hour. AEW World's End. Obviously, we're previewing this a little early. If you haven't heard, we're not going to be here next week. If I'm saying this to the live stream audience, we won't be here next week, so we're going to do the preview now. Not a lot really to talk about in this moment, so that makes it difficult. But there are some things to talk about. Obviously, the world title has already been announced, the AEW world title between MJF and Samoa Joe. We get a repeat of their match at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. We also have the finals of the Continental Classic Championship, which, as I'm saying that, I should probably pull up the Continental Classic standings.
We also have to guess a lot for this preview.
Oh, 100%. We also have the AEW Women's World Title match, which will be Toni Storm defending it against either Saraya or Riho. I'm gonna guess Riho.
What makes you say that, man?
You never know. I guess it could be Saraya. But it's probably gonna be Riho. We'll find that out on this upcoming Wednesday's AEW Dynamite. And then, of course, we have the AEW World Tag Team Title match, which was announced this past Wednesday in a really not great segment between Golden Jets.
We think.
We think, yeah. At the moment, we definitely said not a great segment. I mean, still, I guess
the segment was still ass. Don't get me wrong.
Factually, the segment's still bad. It wasn't changed, but in hindsight, the match may be different now because obviously that we know now that Kenny Omega announced that he was hospitalized for an indefinite amount of time. He tweeted this out. It was announced by Sean Ross Sapp that he was diagnosed with diverticulitis. What's up? Sean Ross Sapp. He was diagnosed with I can't speak right now. I'm saying so many words. Omega was diagnosed with diverticulitis. Dave Meltzer gave a health update on Observer Radio, basically saying that it was a worse case than anyone actually imagined. He said, quote, I did not hear if he had surgery yet on it, but he was rushed to the hospital Friday. He has been in a lot of pain, and he thought what happened was that he was sort of related to his hernia for about a year or so ago. So that's why he's sort of been putting it off. He was hurting really bad on Wednesday, and they found that it was diverticulitis. It was a really bad situation in the sense that if he had gone another day or so, it could have been horrendous. So
that's crazy.
Yeah,
insane.
Just wrestling this sort of ailment and just being like, it's fine. Everyone's like, how could he wrestle like this? And it's like, remember this guy was wrestling with Vertigo for about 2, 3, 4, 5 years or so. I'm not quite shocked that this man continued to wrestle.
Verta sicko.
Oof. We need to do. Can we add?
I want you to know that the point of this was to nail that segment with Big Billy Starks. Kind of like get that one missed.
Yeah, that fell flat. Can we add, by the way, to our background music bit, some sort of rim shot? I think that's what we really need for these level of jokes that we're bringing. But yes, Kenny Omega is out indefinitely. What that changes for this tag team title match at AEW World's End remains to be seen. I assume it will still be Chris Jericho teaming up with someone new. It's just a matter of who that new is going to be. So what do you think about Kenny Omega's diagnosis, and what do you think about the upcoming tag team title match? And what do you think that could what kind of changes do you think they can make?
Well, obviously, diverticulitis is bad, but
Yeah.
seeing that it could have been like an injury, we'll take it, I guess. Right?
Yeah, I try to do research on like how long it takes to heal from diverticulitis, and I saw that was like if it's like a very deep, like fine, normal case, it could take a couple weeks, maybe at most a month. But if it is like I saw like a really bad case, it can take way longer.
Sure.
So and you have to have surgery, and there's going to be recovery involved with that too. So it's going to be who knows how long it's going to be, but it's going to be a certain amount of time for sure.
Well, it sucks, but title match is a lot less interesting without him. At this point, like, I don't know, just bring back the Young Bucks. Just put them in the match. Like, who cares? Like, the tag titles have been an absolute mess for months now. No fault of Ricky Starks and Big Bill here. But like, I don't know, you just need something for that show. And Jericho and mystery partner doesn't have me jumping for joy personally.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what I would do? Maybe no, never mind. I'm gonna
Big
toss
Show?
Powerhouse. I'm gonna no. I'm gonna toss Powerhouse Hobbs and Takeshita into that match. Maybe just like change it up or something. Just it needs more than just a replacement at this stage. It's unfair for Billy, for Ricky and Bill, but I don't even know who you'd replace Jericho. Like, if it's Sammy Guevara, I'm blowing my brains out.
Oh no, because Sammy Guevara turned heel on Chris Jericho. So
that doesn't matter. Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho have turned on each other 7 different times.
That's good. That's a good point. It could be Sammy Guevara. He can come back as a babyface and then it turns.
He had a kid. He can be like, "I'm dad now.
I'm a good guy now. I'm a dad," and then he'll turn heel during the match on Jericho, and then we're back where we were, which is fine. You know, that's fine. That's wrestling.
No, it's not fine.
There's Paul White, who's injured and out of action indefinitely as well. I saw someone pitch, and this is a fun idea. Kevin Knight, Jet Setter Kevin Knight over here. That would be a fun idea, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Why the hell did they pitch Kevin Knight?
Because he isn't what's his name? Isn't he like Jet Set or something? Kevin Knight. Isn't that his nickname?
Okay, no, I'm there now. I know. I get what you're saying now.
What is it?
I pick up what you're putting down.
The Jet, Kevin Knight. There we go.
That's sure. Why not? Maybe.
At some point we need somebody, and I don't. Is this a classic episode of let's look at the AEW roster page?
No.
Who do we got? Who else is from Montreal in this company? Well, I don't know. I don't think actually there is anybody.
Who is from Montreal?
Yeah, who else in this company is from Montreal that could fill the spot, fill the placement?
Quebec, Canada?
Yes, that Montreal, Scotty. Who is from not Montreal, Kansas? Who is from Montreal, Quebec, Canada?
Oh. Edge. He's from Toronto. Close enough.
Also, actually, that is actually one of the matches I forgot to mention. I believe he has requested a no DQ TNT title match of Christian at World's End. So we'll see how that
could be. Daniel Garcia.
That's an interesting one. That's certainly interesting. Yeah. I don't know if it fully works with the story, but you know, I think it might be fine. I think it's close enough that it could work. It could work.
Yeah. Or hear me out here. They just completely pick a whole new team.
There we go, baby.
That's my preference.
What about here's a pitch, not from Montreal, but honestly would work within the story possibly. What about Ethan Page?
That was I saw him too. I thought the same thing.
Not terrible. not a terrible replacement. It would kind of make sense.
Definitely not terrible.
Definitely not.
Definitely not great.
What about Kota Ibushi? Let's bring him in.
Oh, is that too close to the Noah thing? No, actually, that would be plenty of time.
No, he could.
Yeah, that'd be plenty of time. It's on the second, not the first.
Yeah. So he's got what? It's that Saturday, the 30th. Then he has 2 days of travel. Then get to Noah.
Yeah, I thought it was the first, which is like cutting it way too tight. But no, that works.
Yeah, he can easily do that. We can easily do
bring
Kota
Ibushi.
Ibushi.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense too. Okay, we've settled.
Boy.
It's Ibushi.
Boy, oh boy. All right. Sure.
Everyone's dream match. Kota Ibushi.
I think Ricky and Bill win either way.
So. Yeah, at this point especially.
I thought the Golden Jets were winning, but now it's like, assuming Kenny's out, just give it to the Billster and
the big Billster, please.
Ricky Starks. Big Billy Starks.
That fell flat. The other match, I just sort of mentioned it. We're getting the tease of a no DQ title match for the TNT title between I was going to say Edge and Christian, between Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Thoughts on that as a title match?
No DQ feels, I don't know. Don't know about that as the stip. I feel like a different stip would have made more sense.
I feel like a steel cage makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. That being said, no DQ. I feel like these two can make it work for sure.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. I still have Christian win though. They won't. I think Adam Copeland's winning eventually, but
yeah. Also, by the way, I said steel cage. I mean, right there, ladder is the proper stip, right?
I mean, ladder. Not do unless Tony Khan's ready to say that's their last match.
Steel cage makes sense to me. I think the whole idea of the last match ending with Nick Wayne's mom coming out and attacking Adam Copeland.
We never talked about that on the show, but that sucked.
She's not a great actress, I'll say, and
no,
it was very obvious what was happening.
No, Nick Wayne's mom. No, it's not the storyline that I was begging for.
Where's Nick? Is Nick Wayne selling an injury? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, he got concertoed. Just like Kill Switch did. They got so they have this great story, right?
I felt it. I didn't say anything because I felt you about to go on one.
They have this great story with Edge and Christian. Perfect. It's working, right? Hell of a way to build to that match. And they said, how can we convolute it in every which way? Nick Wayne's mom. Let's change the name of Luchasaurus to Kill Switch. Yeah, that's it. Oh, let's have a second match because the first one was so good. I mean, that was always gonna happen. Thank you. Like, man, I just don't know why the need to make things overcomplicated happens in this company all the time. But here we are.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think it's in a weird way. It's almost like the storyline was very interesting when Darby Allin was involved, and now that Darby Allin's gone and now Edge is involved, it's almost like the story is getting like weirdly more convoluted. I don't know. Maybe there's new writers
to go to Everest, bastard.
I don't know. Maybe there's new writers in the room. I don't know. I don't work in TV and understand what that changes and how that can ruin a story. I'm not saying it ruins the story.
To me, they made the Edge and Christian thing work for a little bit there, and then
it's just
then Nick Wayne's mom.
Unless Nick Wayne's
mom. Sorry.
Unless she's wrestling, which apparently she has experience in that realm.
Oh, please, God, for the love of God, no.
That means we're gonna get Beth Phoenix in this company.
Oh, please, God, no.
Beth
no. No.
It's plausible. It's really plausible. Yeah, but the stip no DQ doesn't make sense. It should be a steel cage. Now the match isn't fully announced. It can still change, but I imagine it'll still be no DQ. AEW Women's World Title match. Toni Storm, like we said, probably be against Riho. Are you excited about this? Are you excited about Riho losing? What do you?
No, I'm not excited about Riho losing. So I'm watching Collision last night, right? I'm watching it with friends, And we're like,
Bragging.
we're all like,
Mariah.
Mariah May should wrestle soon. Then Tony Storm pops on my screen. And I go, ah, like, come on, man. No, I'm so done. I need this story to end at Revolution.
At Revolution.
Listen, I know it's not ending sooner. So I have to accept that it's going at least another pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go as far as Revolution. Thunder Rosa's back.
Yeah, Thunder Rosa is back. Teamed up with Abaddon and Sky Black. I sent people last night with my Sky Blue confusion storyline take, and people were like explaining
ass.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. She was corrupted by Mist. All right, we're gonna get into it. She was corrupted by Mist. She then wears Scooby-Doo gear, which was so stupid and dumb and didn't make any sense. But apparently that was part of the lore. So I'm bringing the Scooby-Doo gear up, folks, because
that's part of the lore.
That's part of the lore, apparently.
Bullshit.
Because she tweeted out an Instagram thing being like, monsters are just humans that wear masks. And people are like, oh, now it's part of the lore here. She gets misted. She becomes a monster that's just a human wearing a mask. She then, we get the tease of her maybe turning heel and aligning with Julia Hart. But no, she turns against Julia Hart. Blue miss her to the face. And then we get the triple threat match, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, and Chris Statlander at the last pay-per-view. Now, what? That match was pretty good.
No, that wasn't for the match. That was for the story.
Fair enough.
Badly timed.
Poorly timed. But then last night, she's now, after aligning herself not against Julia Hart, out of nowhere, she turns again to now be on Julia Hart's side. And now she is seemingly the Sky Black character and seemingly has joined the House of Black. So the Mist was corrupting her, but she was just a monster, which was a human in disguise. So she was a human in disguise, which teased no, I'm actually a face and going against Julia Hart. But now that we're past the pay-per-view, we're just going to put her back of Julia Hart and turn again.
You forgot the part where she lost a AEW Women's World Title match as well in there.
Oh yeah, in the mid story is that she wrestles Tony Storm and loses, and none of it makes sense. The story's all over the place.
It's bad.
And now what? The Sisters of House of Black. I think I saw that as a name. It's just dumb.
Anyway,
that's a fun bit from the media scrum. I think someone asked Billy Starks like who she wants to wrestle in the company. You know, a great question to ask in media scrum. And she said basically a bunch of people's names. And then Tony, she's like, "Oh, I want to wrestle Chris Statlander and Willow and Riho and Tony Storm and Julia Hart." And then Tony Khan is like, "And Sky Blue." Not a joke.
I'm happy that I know exactly how this booking's going. Anytime we had a story and Sky Blue. So Julia Hart beats Abaddon. There you go.
Yeah. And I assume that will be the match, obviously, at World's End as well. Any other matches? We'll get into the Continental Classic final in a moment, but are there any other matches that we think could be added to this pay-per-view that is in, when is it? It is 12:30. It is in about 15 days or so.
No.
We got Let's go through the titles. We got Julia Hart Abaddon.
Yeah.
We got the trios titles. But we can't get any vibe off that. The devil involved in some capacity.
They said they want to fight the devil, but so probably the devil.
The devil's goons.
Yeah. Woohoo!
So what? So if that's the case, then the devil should seemingly be revealed before the pay-per-view? Or are they just going to wrestle the goons?
The goons. It's gonna be like when you play like the old SmackDown versus Raw games and you fight like Jim Bob and Phil. And
there's a storyline where it was like against Undertaker or something.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch
the druids.
Yeah, well, no, the druids, but then there wasn't a storyline where it's like a guy in a ski mask or something.
Oh man, this is great. This is great. Okay, what other titles? International title doesn't have a single story going on.
Orange Cassidy
TNT,
will face somebody.
TNT we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Tag titles we talked about.
Ring of Honor
Women's World
tag titles
titles.
probably aren't happening.
And then the world title.
Which is versus Samoa Joe. Any other storylines happening in this company that I'm trying to remember?
Maybe something with Danielson if he doesn't make it to the final.
Yeah, I think there'll probably be something. There could also be like Andrade Miro. You know, they've been teasing that for a
That would make
while.
sense.
That would make sense. It could do Adam Page something, maybe.
I would hope so.
Me too. But we'll
Not
see.
Swerve.
Not Swerve.
Swerve and Keith Lee.
Swerve and Keith Lee will probably be on here.
What a random match.
Random match.
After what Swerve has done lately.
Yeah, he's like weirdly turning babyface for this crowd.
As he should. He's the best thing going, baby.
I actually can't think of any other storylines that are currently happening in this company.
All right, to the Continental. Well, because everything's like surrounding the Continental Classic.
That's fair. So they have the finals obviously coming up for the Continental Classic. The semifinals will be happening December 27th, the Wednesday prior to the pay-per-view. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously, the semifinals are going to be the top 2 point earners, or I guess tiebreakers, of the Gold League and the Blue League will face each other. And then the winners of that will face each other at the Continental Classic Finals at World's End. Currently in the Gold League, Jon Moxley sitting pretty at 12 points. Undoubtedly in.
He's a lock.
He has beaten everybody. He only has one person's face left, and that's Jay White. Even if he loses, Jay White is then at 12. Jon Moxley is still in as the second place point getter.
He's a lock.
Swerve Strickland and Jay White are at 9. You know, like I said, Jay White, if he beats Jon Moxley, he is probably I believe Jay White to be in needs to win his match and for Swerve to lose.
Yeah. Do you want me to make this easy for you?
Please.
It's just gonna be Moxley versus Kingston.
Well, that we have a show to do. You can't cut to the end like
we have a show to do. We have 30 minutes left.
Yeah, we got a show to do.
We got a review. We got a preview. I'm tired.
I'm walking this through to our audience that may not know.
I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa.
All right. Well, then, who do you think will be in the finals then? We'll skip to the end because that's what Scotty wants to do.
Semifinals. No, I'll say the semifinals are probably...
If Swerve wins, Swerve is facing who? Swerve is facing Roosh. Roosh is also sitting at 6 points. If Swerve beats Roosh, he's at 12. And then, yeah, Jay White just has to lose against Jon Moxley, really. Because if Jay White beats Jon Moxley, Swerve beats Roosh, then we have a 3-way 1v1v1 tiebreaker situation that will need some sort of secondary match.
Semifinal, that's a 3-way.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I guess it's plausible. We don't exactly know what they'll do, but that seems like a plausible.
It's like the easiest solution.
Yeah, that's the easiest solution. Is that instead of 1-on-1, the semifinals is just a.
I wouldn't be shocked if they did that just to protect everyone.
Yeah, I can see that.
First tournament, break the rules. Love it.
Well, we gotta know the barriers moving forward for every year.
That's true.
So yeah,
there could be a 3-way at the end.
Yeah, I think that's the only scenario. I don't think Roosh has any scenarios. Yeah, he's already lost to Jay White, so Roosh is pretty much eliminated. So yeah, Blue League, we got Brian. Blue League is all over the place. 9 points. Bryan Danielson, Andrade, are both at 9 points. Following that is Brody King, Claudio, and Eddie Kingston, all at 6 points. Dina Garcia, obviously the only one eliminated here. It's anyone's game. Danielson's against Claudio. If he beats Claudio, he's probably in. Claudio's out. Andrade is against Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston has to beat Andrade here to stay alive. We were saying Eddie Kingston is in the finals. Eddie Kingston has to beat Andrade. So they're both at 9 points then, but Eddie Kingston is the tiebreaker win over him. Brody King has to probably lose Yes, Brody King will have to lose against Dana Garcia. Claudio will have to lose against Bryan Danielson, and then the semifinals will be Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston. That's how we get there.
Yeah, I see Claudio Danielson maybe going to a draw, actually.
And if they go to a draw, doesn't change anything. Bryan's still going in. Claudio still gets eliminated. Eddie Kingston still able to go in as long as he beats Andrade.
Yeah, and Garcia beats Brody.
Yes, and Garcia beats Brody. That's gonna be a big upset. That is a big upset right there.
Yeah.
Which could, I'm please God, let's give this man some points. And then we're talking maybe a triple threat or singles match between Moxley and Jay White or something, or Swerve, I guess maybe. In the Gold League and the Blue League, Danielson, Eddie Kingston. Who do you think is going to win those semifinals? Who do you think is going to go to the finals? And who do you think is going to win it, the whole thing?
Moxley and Eddie Kingston
are going to the finals.
Yeah, I think Moxley goes undefeated actually, all the way to the finals, and then that's where he loses to Eddie.
Are we okay with Eddie?
Yeah,
winning all 3 titles, Triple Crown titles.
Yep, they're his belts. Don't care.
Mm-hmm.
like here's the thing about this new belt. I don't have a connection to it. So to me, it's like he's fighting for his 2 belts, and he has his back against the wall. It's very basic storytelling, but it's very easy storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think him beating Moxley would be a great moment. Could be one of the best matches of the year in AEW if all goes right.
Is there any reality you think that Danielson beats Eddie Kingston here, and then it's Danielson versus Moxley?
There's definitely a possibility.
Talk about a match. talk about a match.
Like 3 different times already.
We've definitely seen it once. That was the one
we saw it at Revolution last year, and we saw it at the tournament thing when Punk got stripped of the belt again.
Yes.
I can understand how you forget that.
Yeah. So that'd be Moxley Danielson 3 for the Triple Crown titles. I mean, that's a sexy match.
Yeah.
That can main event a pay-per-view. Yeah.
I think Eddie Moxley's just more exciting for me right now because they haven't done it in forever.
The reason I think I bring up the Danielson thing is that
it's that. Oh, sorry.
Well, of course, we get to some final count.
I wouldn't have Danielson beat Eddie twice. That's my whole thing.
That's fair. The story built up where Eddie Kingston, he's on this. He was on this losing streak, and now he has to win every single match to retain his titles. And then you have that moment of the Eddie is a bum sign with Bryan Danielson. Yeah. It almost requires you to have Eddie win and beat Bryan Danielson.
I think Eddie coming up short in the finals is interesting.
Yeah, I think it plays into his character for him to come up short in finals for sure.
Especially to Moxley.
And Moxley winning as Triple Crown is interesting.
Yeah, feels like a very Moxley thing to do.
But at the same time, I also wouldn't want to have the Moxley to be a Triple Crown title holder and then go to New Japan and win their global, what is it? Their GHC title?
Yeah, the IWGP GHC
title.
That's what I call it, the IWGP GHC, baby. They have 2 world titles.
And then he wins that, and now he has 4 championships.
Yeah.
I guess in that sense he could win that and combine the strong title with it for New Japan. They're combining the tag titles.
Yeah, because the global sounds like it's supposed to do the strong thing to the extreme. So that'd work.
That actually makes sense.
There's also a world where Will Ospreay just wins that match as well.
Also plausible.
I can't see David Finlay being the first IWGP Global Champion in history. Like what a wet fart of a start for that belt.
Look, in New Japan's defense, who was the first Intercontinental Champion?
It was MVP.
Correct. It was MVP.
Yeah, but MVP is like 10 times better than David Finlay.
Yeah, but it was MVP.
It is pretty crazy factoid.
Yeah.
But like Kenny was the first IWGP US.
If I'm not mistaken, actually, I want to say MVP won the title
by beating Finlay? Oh.
No, well, that would have been insane.
Fit Finlay?
I want to say he won the title in a tournament where the finals were him versus Toru Yano. Yes, it was him versus Toru Yano in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's a fun fact for you. And then he defended it. He defended it 2 more times against Toru Yano. Wait, what? I don't know that one. Defended it twice.
Ryan just found his new matches to watch.
No, I've already seen MVP versus Toru Yano for the IC title. I've already seen it.
Yeah, but you can watch the other ones now.
I now have to. And then he loses. I think I saw Masato Tanaka is who he loses to.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. I like. There's something to it. I think I like the idea of Eddie Kingston losing in a weird way, whether it be to Danielson again.
Tony Khan does too.
I know. Whether it be, I think there's 2 opportunities. Obviously, there's one against Bryan Danielson, where hey, Bryan Danielson versus Moxley. Hey, if MJF isn't going to be able to wrestle that much, Bryan Danielson and Moxley is a really great main event for this pay-per-view.
That reminds me that MJF should lose his belt, but continue.
If Eddie Kingston beats him, then we get Eddie Kingston versus Jon Moxley. And I also still like the idea of Eddie Kingston losing his titles here and Jon Moxley winning them, becoming Ring of Honor World Champion, becoming New Japan Strong Champion, becoming whatever this new title is, the Continental Champion. There's something about that I also enjoy. But, if Eddie wins the whole thing, I think that's also fine. I think part of me, I would prefer maybe like a Danielson or Moxley winning it, though.
I'm with you there.
All right, let's move to Stardom. Dream
MJF
Queendom.
and Samoa Joe. We're just not going to talk about MJF and Samoa Joe.
Well, that was the first match we talked about. You don't remember?
We never talked about it.
I did. I brought it up. I said we'll start off with this match. I talked about the main event first.
We never talked about that match.
Run the tape back.
I literally never said a word about that match.
All right. What do you think about MJF Samoa Joe?
Samoa Joe should win. All right. We're good.
Fuck you.
Go fuck.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Stardom, Dream Queendom. 20. This is what third hour gets you, folks. This is what the third hour gets you. Woo! I'm getting hot. I'm getting hot. Oh, baby. No, you gotta hit me. You gotta hit me. Gotta hit me a little bit of it.
We can't play that long.
No, we cannot, but I'll take a little bit of it. Stardom, Queendom, 2023, happening December 29th, the day before AEW World's End, all the way in Tokyo, Japan, of course.
Oh my God.
We got the full, unlike World's End, we got a full card here, folks. We'll start off with the main event here for the vacant World of Stardom Championship. Suzu Suzuki versus Micah. Obviously, we all thought this was going to be the match months ago. We all knew this was coming. And here we go. Suzu Suzuki versus Micah. We talked about it a little bit before about where we think this is going to go. I think both of us are sort of in the camp of Suzuki is probably going to win, sort of win the title and make a new person. But Micah certainly has has her work cut out for her. I think there's a chance she could win here. But what do you think the outcome of this World of Stardom title match is, especially based off of their more recent house shows and stuff?
Micah has a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
She is the loudest cheered wrestler in Stardom. People behind her. She's been putting great performances in.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not the one that's supposed to be world champion right now. That is Suzuki, who's supposed to be world champion right now. And that is why I still side with her. I've been talking about this on my Joshi show for a few weeks now. It's like Suzu's fine if she loses. Like long term, she's fine. I don't know how you keep Micah in the realm of conversation if she loses. Because this would be another big loss. There's no obvious next point for her from here. Like for Suzu, there's a lot of next points. She's gonna, probably make her own faction or whatever, or become a leader of one, or so on and so forth. Micah doesn't have that. And that's the debate going on in my head. I still think ultimately Suzu wins, because that's the plan for the future. and I get that. She's 21 years old, going to be your new world champion. Kind of not only make a star, but make a new franchise player, essentially, for the future. Micah wouldn't be that. She wouldn't be a franchise, and that's not a shot at Micah. That is just a point of emphasis that I'm trying to make here moving forward. That being said, I do think that this match is going to be obviously great. I do think that these two are going to kill it as they've done before. And I think based off of the story, here's the best part about this match. This match would be happening on the show with or without the title, it feels like. Based on their story of the past couple months and where they've gone, this was always the destination. They were rivaling against each other. They were bickering back and forth. They were always going to be separated eventually. And on the house shows, they are fighting every minute of every single match. There is a hatred here, and the title is just a plus, which I think is the best type of world title match sometimes. Is that when it's not always about the title, it's about the hatred between two wrestlers. And ultimately, I think that's going to drive us here. I can see Micah win, but right now I'm 60-40 that Suzu does.
Kind of not really breaking news in the moment, but more of a sort of breaking tease, if you will. The Super J Cast tweeted out just now that they Super J Cast always does these sort of teasings of comments and stuff. But they obviously know people within the company, so maybe they know stuff. But they tweeted out, it appears that the bloom may be off the rose for Okada and New Japan, capitalizing bloom there. And Chris Samsa, we know Chris Samsa, he works, with New Japan as well sometimes. Quote tweeted that and says, "This seems very ominous." Both of them in conjunction teasing the idea of Barry Bloom, maybe was hired by Kazuchika Okada. Again, not actual news that we're reporting, not news that they're reporting explicitly, obviously, but seemingly, Kazuchika Okada may or may not have hired Barry Bloom, the same Barry Bloom that was hired by the Young Bucks, the Elite. I believe Cody might have hired him. The Outsiders obviously famously hired back in the day for the WCW. Osprey hired him just recently. Obviously, again, not official news by any sense of the imagination. Still very much a rumor and rumbling. I see Tony Khan also tweeted, AEW fans, how are you feeling 12 hours ago? Obviously, that's about Collision, but funny that was popped up the first thing on my timeline. Scotty, if this is true, if Okada's hired Barry Bloom, what do you think this means?
He's gonna make a lot of money.
Well, I mean, that's true. That's certainly true. That's an interesting development. And this comes, I believe, after like a day after Cultaholic put out a report saying that WWE is not expected to sign Okada. As an exclusive report from
all right, time out.
Never heard that before. Go ahead.
Time out. If AEW signs Okada, how does this relationship keep going?
Are they scared about
that would be the limit
Japan?
For me. That would be the limit for me.
Are you scared about NXT Japan, or are you scared about something else?
No, I'm scared of you can't take Okada from your partner.
Yeah,
there's limits. He is the limit.
Huh.
All right.
Again.
Well, hey, we don't. You know what's gonna happen? We're gonna have the big news story burst when we're not recording for the next 2 weeks. So, here's to you.
Yeah, I'm watching Twitter and Discords and everything like a hawk right now, and I'll see if I can get any more information. But that is a interesting development for it to be true.
That's very much favoring AEW.
Yes, very much so. And especially
best case scenario now, Kushida's TNA deal. where he does both.
I don't. Maybe. Yeah.
Fuck, man, that sucks. All right, whatever.
Unless
I'm going,
Okada gets signed to TNA. Finally,
all right,
he's back.
I'm going back to Dream Queen and finishing this show up.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue looking at Twitter and
Yeah.
Discord to see if I find anything else. But yeah, as of as of right now, that is a certain rumor going around that maybe potentially Okada has hired Barry Bloom. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. Anyways, yes, Dream Queendom, Suzu Suzuki versus Micah. Micah gaining so much momentum.
I
There's
said
a
I
good
was
shot
60-40 before.
of we said 60-40 into Micah's favor.
No, Suzu.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I would love to see Micah. I think Suzuki sort of makes sense, and that was sort of the path that we were going on. But I would love to see Micah win the world title, honestly.
I think it'd be acceptable to change it up. And I think it wouldn't be that long of a reign, but it would be a good little world title reign, get a good amount of defenses in there. But again, we'll wait and see on that. That's the fun of their main event, is that it's very unpredictable for once.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like this can go either way. A new world champion will be crowned, and kind of take the reins of the future for Stardom moving forward, which is a big deal.
Especially going into, I don't necessarily want to say new era for Stardom. You know,
I
it's
would
not
say new era for Stardom.
Yeah, it's like not necessarily new era. It's like new and old era for Stardom, but definitely a new period, a rebirth of a new period. I guess you could say for Stardom. Semi-main event, Wonder of Stardom title match: Mirai versus Sayori Anu. Talked about this again. They've had quite a rivalry this year as well, and they. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to suspect that this match isn't going to be hard fought. Brutal beatdown of epic proportions.
I think there's a chance Sayori wins,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's all I need to make the match an exciting one. I don't think it would be crazy if she won this big rematch. I still do think Mirai wins, but it should be a lot better than their 30-minute draw, because they're not going to go to a 30-minute draw. I'm going to guess like a really good 18-20-minute fight between these two, with a lot of stakes here, because again, we're kind of going to a new era. Who leads the new era as Wonder of Stardom champion? That's very important.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. Do you think there's a possibility that Anu maybe wins the title and then that you can bump up Mirai as a potential challenger?
For sure.
Okay. Strong women's title match. Julia.
Sorry. I also want to add, if Sayori wins, I think Natsupoi is your next Wonder of Stardom champion.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Is Natsupoi is still on the injury?
Yeah, she's still hurt, but she did have an interview recently, so that's usually means she's on her way back. Probably sometime in January, hopefully.
Okay. Strong women's title match. Julia versus Megan Bayne. An interesting one here. Obviously, Megan Bayne. I can see, there's an argument. I can almost see this being maybe a last match for Megan Bayne.
We'll see for sure.
We'll see for sure.
Definitely
Julia,
could be.
It could be, but there's also the Julia of it all, of what's happening with Julia, and who knows if Megan Bayne wins. You're freaking out about Okada. I'm going to be freaking out about Julia.
Yeah. Though I do think it's funny, because I do think it's fair to freak out about Julia, but I also think losing I don't think she's going to lose the title because she's booked for Battle in the Valley. But Megan Bayne would be like the perfect person to get this title away from Stardom on, which I would desperately want, is this title to go away. I think Julia will win. They had a great 15-minute draw a few weeks ago on a house show that just kind of came from nothing. It was because someone was hurt, so they had to move the card, and ultimately they had great chemistry. So I think this is gonna be great. Could be Megan Bayne's best match. And Julia's, she's back to having her working boots on. So hopefully they deliver. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I certainly think they will deliver. I think Megan Bayne has been fantastic in this. Honestly, her entire run has been really good. And
She's done a good job. She's done a really good job. I don't know how you're not excited about her future if you're AEW fans.
Goddess of Stardom tag team titles are on the line. Utami Hayashishii and Saya Kamatani, the new champions, will be defending it against Momo Watanabe and Natsuko Tora. I'm always excited to see Utami Hayashishii and Saya Kamatani, but in 2023, Natsuko Tora and Momo Watanabe, I don't care about Momo Watanabe and Natsuko Tora anymore.
Absolutely wrong. This is the
know.
story of the year in Stardom.
I know it's the story of the year. It goes back all the way to the steel cage match, yada yada yada.
This is Natsuko and Momo's best opponents.
All right, convince me. Please convince me.
Natsuko works best against Utami.
Mm-hmm.
That has been the case at least since she's come back from the nasty knee injury that she had. And I think this is also a matchup that drives Momo a little bit more. When it comes to these two teams, especially Aphrodite, I think they're in a spot where they're going to go out of their way to deliver. They're trying to end this story once and for all via this tag match. And I think that's the great part about Queendom is it's the year of kind of closing out the biggest stories. And that's kind of why I believe in this match. I think Aphrodite is obviously winning.
Sure.
And I think that's going to be why they benefit because, you won't have to worry about like the new champions or anything, but more so you'll have to worry about delivering in the big stakes in Sumo Hall, which I think these two teams can do because there's so much history. They're going to work off that history rather than if it was Momo and Natsuko facing like who they face, the New Errors or something like that. Like this is the best matchup for them. If it was any other matchup, I wouldn't have this for Sumo Hall, but it's the right matchup, which is why I think it works out.
Would you recommend? Obviously we don't know what the match will look like, but would you recommend to the folks at home that if they have not seen the steel cage match, do you think
Absolutely.
That's obviously? I feel like you think it's going to play heavily into this match.
Yeah, you should go out of your way to see the cage match. That was Stardom's match of the year, and it's fantastic. It's one of the best steel cage matches I've ever seen, maybe the best. If you can find some sort of video that kind of updates you on the story going into it, all the better. I'm sure there's some sort of video essay out there on YouTube. YouTube's a beautiful thing for those things, or even Twitter. I'm sure you can find it, but yeah, go out of your way, and then I think that'll present the right hype. Also, for anyone wondering, I think this matters. They've already sold 9 of 13 sections out for this show.
Whoo!
Yeah.
Whoo, boy.
Yeah.
And then what? They have what? Like we said, 15 more days, 12 more days or so, whatever.
Yeah. Sorry, 8 of 13. They're about to sell the front row out.
On the 9th one.
Yeah. It says very few remaining, and the front row always sold out.
How more expensive are those other sections? Are they just like range?
They're like 15,000 yen, 8,000 yen, 7,000, 5,000. They're like the regular like mass seats.
Mm-hmm.
So they should get pretty close, especially with all the outsiders, foreigners coming in as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some walk-ups that day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how all Japan shows work. So they're going to do a really good number, it looks like. Which is, I think they were selling really well before the card announcement, and they have 2 shows. I know a lot of people looking at the card because it's these 4 matches, and then it's like 4 undercard matches that are kind of like, oh, okay. It's because they have 2 pay-per-views start off next year, which again, this is the never-ending problem in Stardom that is getting fixed, which is the schedule. But we should go over those just so I can give everyone an idea of what is coming from those, because there are clear points in 2 of the tag matches of where we're going.
Are you talking about the New Year shows?
Yeah. So the undercard matches, I know it's Stars versus Oedo Tai in 1.
Yes, on Stardom Dream Queendom. Yes.
Yeah. So it's Mayu and Crew versus Starlight Kid and Crew.
Correct.
That will be your IWGP Women's Title match on the 4th. So
Mayu and Starlight.
yeah. So they're giving the huge first ever show main event to Starlight Kid, which is gigantic. But that's, to me, that's the type of thing you should be doing.
Yeah, completely agree.
Go with your future. And she's one of their most popular stars.
Yep.
It's a smaller building, right? It's the Tokyo Dome City Hall, so it's not like it's trying to sell it Ryogoku or something. I think it's gonna be I think that show is gonna be a really good lead in. And then they have the Yokohama Budokan the day before.
Yeah.
Which I think they're gonna do Azumi and Meisara at least on that show, based off of the tag there. So something to look forward to. I don't know how they're gonna book those two shows, but
yeah. Well, speaking of Azumi and Meisara, they're in a 6-woman tag team match on Stardom Dream Queendom with 7-Up and Azumi versus Shuri, Mina Shirakawa, and Meisara.
7-Up was gone the entire year, and then
they're back.
So it should be a good trios match, all things considered. It's a lot of good parts there. I just wish a few of the parts had bigger matches, but
But yeah, but it seems like they're probably at the very least saving those bigger matches. They have
exactly.
It's kind of the hard thing about when you have one of these year-end shows, right? Is that they've now put themselves into the booking.
They feel like they're in the 2-night Wrestle Kingdom section.
In a weird way, in a 3-night Wrestle Kingdom WrestleMania
more
section.
Ridiculous. Yes.
They have to split up all their big matches across 3 different nights. So it is what it is. You have to accept it where it is.
Again next year. The Budokan show won't. The other 2 will, but that's why they have the IWGP title, so you can get away with that.
Yes, exactly. The only other match here on Stardom Dream Queendom itself is the opener, which is a 4-way tag team match: Queen's Quest versus Bari Bari Bombers versus Cosmic Angels versus God's Eye. It'd be a fun little thing. Ultimately, I don't expect these multi-woman tag matches to be anything special. I mean, honestly, you're looking at the top 4 matches of the show, and that's the things that you pay attention to.
I will say that Tokyo Sports Awards came out this week.
Yeah, we didn't put them on the run sheet, but do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, we can talk about them real quick, mostly because it's very important regarding Tam. Because I'll get into that, but you can go through the awards real quick if you have them. I don't know if you.
I am trying to pull them up as we speak. Whoop. All right, so MVP award from this year was Tetsuya Naito. I don't have the second place and third place people, but I know that's important. Where did I see that? I'll look that up. MVP was Tetsuya Naito. Best Bout award was, I was kind of shocked by this one, Great Muta versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I was floored because one of the reasons people put out about like why I was voted on was because of the entrance, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen an entrance has determined whether or not it was the best bout of the year. But Japan's different than me. But that was Great Muta versus Shinsuke Nakamura, January 1st for Pro Wrestling Noah. Outstanding Performance Award went to Hiromu Takahashi. Fighting Spirit Award went to Kano. Technique Award went to Yuma Aoyagi. Best Tag Team Award went to Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. Newcomer Award went to the Saito brothers. Women's Wrestling Grand Prize went to Tam Nakano. And that was all of the awards. So yes, your thoughts, Scotty.
Yeah.
Obviously, it should be also said, Tokyo Sports Awards, these are more like a political sort of, these aren't like, how do I say this? These aren't like, the best wrestler or anything. It's more of a political thing. Is that typically a New Japan person wins, then a Noah person wins the Fighting Spirit Award.
Yeah.
That's how
Japan wins the other one.
Yeah.
The one thing with Tam is that this was the first time she spoke since she got hurt, and she did talk about how she considered retirement, but she will be back. So that's obviously a big boost for Stardom overall. And I think that will be very soon, probably sometime in January, post all these big shows and whatnot. And then she said she would like to face Suzu for the title. So I think that's probably where we go, truthfully. But we'll wait and see. But what a show. 3 hours down.
Yeah. Down pat.
To not record next week.
Yeah, easy peasy. The only other topic we can get to is Rev Pro Uprising. I'll just quickly say main event obviously was really good. Will Ospreay versus Gabe Kidd. My one downside to it is that if you've seen a bunch of Will Ospreay indie matches and they're all 4-star sort of specials, and you know the Will Ospreay formula, I had a little bit of that feeling here. So you know, if you didn't see a lot of them, you're gonna love it. If you saw a bunch of them, you're still gonna like it. But it'll just be like, oh, okay, I get the formula a little bit. Oku Gibson was really good. Gibson's great, just fantastic. And they're bringing in GYV into Rev Pro, so that's great. If I had to give a big recommendation, which shocked me, it was JJ Gale versus Zack Sabre Jr. Very short, quick, great match. I was really shocked of how great JJ Gale was, and it was another feather on top, which will probably be Zack Sabre Jr.'s final singles match of the year. Another feather on top of a fantastic year from Zack Sabre Jr. And if you want to see more hard hitting, not as great as their other match from earlier this year at the 11th anniversary show for Rev Pro, but Luke Jacobs versus Tomohiro Ishii was still really, really good. So those would be my recommendations. Otherwise, the show was fine. It wasn't as good. I like the 11th anniversary show more. I didn't like the show as much, but it was still a really good show nonetheless. But that's it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We went 3 hours, Scotty. Can you believe it? Was this our first time ever going full 3 hours?
Yes.
He says, deflated and dead. That is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. We will not be back next week, like we said, because we will be gone for the holiday season, but we will be returning, of course, for December 31st, New Year's Eve, for our morning episode as per usual. We'll be talking about a bunch of stuff. We'll be talking about Dream Queendom 3, World's End, previewing Noah New Year, All Japan. I don't think we'll actually be talking about All Japan. We try to squeeze it in.
We might squeeze it in before. We don't know yet.
We'll see what we can do there. Obviously, Wrestle Kingdom 18. If there isn't a bonus show of it, I don't know what's happening with that. Then we'll be talking about Wrestle Kingdom 18 there. We will not be talking about MLW Kings of Colosseum. Darn, can't seem to squeeze an MLW into that week's show. What a disappointment. Well, so darn. But we'll be back, of course, the 31st, New Year's Eve, for an all-new episode of Ring Post Radio. So we thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's episode. Scotty, plugs in what was, if you can think of it, of all the matches we've seen this week that we did not talk about, what is your match of the week?
You follow me at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter /X. It's the year-end stuff. So that means there's year-end content coming from me, whether it be Stardom Dream Queendom. You can vote in the Joshi Awards that I have going on for my Joshi podcast. Those will be released on December 31st, or December 30th. I don't know yet. Once all the big events are over. And we will be going through that. So look forward to that. I'm sure I'll have some sort of year-end article, coming in the next week or two. Overall, match of the week that we didn't talk about.
We talked about a lot of matches.
We did. I'll go with John Moxley and Swerve. That was good.
Yeah, that was really good. That was a really good match. My match of the week, similar, same night. I'm going to do over on the Blue League, though, Brody King, Andrade. That was a really good match, really good hard-hitting match. And then that finish of the sudden DDT on the top rope onto the turnbuckle, that was a really, really great finish. I really enjoyed that match. Plugs, patreon.com/countdownpod. I just announced earlier in the show that we have the new series, The Ballot, coming out in the new year. First episode's already recorded. We're going to be discussing the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame candidacy of every new person that's joining the ballot this year in 2024 that was officially announced. Obviously, there could be more people announced, but who knows? First episode's already recorded. It will come out sometime in January. I have to edit it still, so we'll figure that out. The first episode will be about Zack Sabre Jr., speaking about his fantastic 2023 season, but also speaking about his entire career in Japan. Because I presume that's where he will be on the ballot. Again, patreon.com/countdownpod. It'll be on the $5 tier. So for $5 a month, you'll be able to hear every episode of the ballot, along with everything else that comes out onto patreon.com/countdownpod. You can follow me on Twitter at Ryan Icy. Follow Scotty at Scotty Wrestling. You follow the whole show, the whole network at Count Out Pod. If you have any questions or comments, of course, even after the fact, you can put them in the chat, or if you can leave a voicemail, any thoughts, questions, continue the conversation by giving us a ring at 2525 Ring PR. That's 2525 Ring PR 2525-746477. We got a bunch of great shows on the network. Okada Shorts is a great New Japan show if you want more content. If you want to learn more about Joshi, or more specifically Stardom history, Stardom Road with Scotty and Trent is a great show.
We're not going to be back until the 2nd, by the way.
That is true. But make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you make sure you get it everywhere and when they come out. Same thing with Ring Post Radio. A lot of shows are probably going to take a break from the Christmas break. I believe everyone might be, but at the very least, make sure you subscribe to all of these podcasts on the Count Out Network, or just subscribe to the Count Out Network feed itself. There's its own feed where you get all the shows. Then you can make sure you can get all the podcast stuff when it comes out. If you're listening to this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube. We put up clips. We put out our live streams for Ring Post Radio. And if I recall correctly, there will be a Stardom Road thing coming to YouTube in the new year as well.
Damn right. We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on a regular podcast, obviously. But it's a fun. We actually announced it. We're going to be kind of rating every roster member with the tier maker.
Yeah, baby.
And should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a video you're going to want to watch, because I'm sure you're going to want to see the chart as we do it.
Have you recorded it? Are you going to do it live, or have you recorded it?
We're going to record it. We haven't done it yet. We're waiting for the year end, but we were thinking about live, but the times wouldn't
Fair
work,
enough.
obviously.
That's fair enough. Well, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube so that you're able to get that as it comes out. I believe that is it from us from Ring Post Radio. Like we said, we won't be back next week. We'll be back on the 31st, New Year's Eve, for the last episode of the year for Ring Post Radio.
New Year's Eve. Whoop that trick.
We'll be back. Goodbye, everybody.